is the Discover Card Countdown to Green as we get ready to go racing.
The NASCAR Nextel Cup Series opens the month of August in the Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania. Today, 26-year-old Ryan Newman is the defending champion, and he knows at Pocono, the fast guys are focused on the big finish and the big picture. 7 races remain on the rocky road to the checkered flag at Richmond. Loudon left the top 2 point leaders hurting.
The car might be worse than I am. This is pretty embarrassing for us. We normally don't run this bad.
And championship challenger Kurt Busch left with the trophy.
We had to come to this week and know we had to put some points together. We've got to do it now if we want to be in position.
Now the Nextel Cup Series faces 500 miles on Pocono's flat and fast track of temptation, a place where the past is hard to forget. Here, Victory Lane welcomes veteran drivers, a career accomplishment climbing Pocono's toughest mountain. Jimmie Johnson is the current king of the thrill after winning here in June. But these guys don't care because now it's August 1st, and the race to be first brings its horsepower to Pocono. TNT Sports presents the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series, live from Pocono Raceway in Pennsylvania. Hi, everybody. Our entire TNT Race family welcomes you to Pocono. I'm Bill Weber. Right off the top, we are in the hurry-up. Rain has been part of the story the whole weekend and is in the picture this afternoon. Just 1 hour of practice on Friday, then the cars did qualify. But all the practice on Saturday was rained out, and the start of this race has been moved up to 1:33 Eastern Time. That's just about 30 minutes from now. So let's get you up to date on the big stories, starting with Dave Burns.
And Bill, in case you haven't heard, which Bill, I know you have, but everyone else may not have, the junior still recovering from second-degree burns he received in a sports car race still 2 weeks ago. Junior, you got out at lap 61 last week. When are you going to get out this week?
I'm going to try to go the whole race. And I got John Andretti, who's sitting in the pits ready to go whenever I need, if I need to get out. But the car's been pretty good this weekend. We didn't get any practice yesterday, so we kind of guessed on a few things, but I think we're going to be all right.
All right, in his 10th Pocono start, he goes for his first win. To Marty Snyder.
Well, Dave, as Bill mentioned, practice was rained out yesterday, so conventional wisdom would tell us the man who won 49 days ago here, Jimmie Johnson, would be the man to beat today. Were you guys kind of actually maybe glad practice rained out yesterday?
You know, we've got mixed feelings on it. It doesn't bother us too much, but things have changed since then, and we don't have the same shocks and stuff that we had 49 days ago. So, you know, we've got a great race car. We've always run well here, and I think this Los Monte Carlo is going to be up front. Starting a little further back than we want, but it's going to be a good day. I think we'll be in good shape.
In past years, he's done it at New Hampshire, done it at Dover, trying for the Pocono season sweep. Matt Yoakams.
The last 2 winners of this event started their day on the pole, and that's good news for Kasey Mears, who scored his first career pole on Friday. Kasey, your best chance and best track to break through with your first win.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. You know, we ran really well here in the ARCA car, winning a couple races. And Pocono's always been good to me so far. I mean, we've ran good every time we've been here, and really looking forward to today. You know, starting up front, a big notch in my belt, and feels really good. I want to do everything I can for the Target team. They've stuck behind me, you know, through last year, and we wanted to give them a good run today.
9 times in series history, drivers scored their first pole and victory in the same race, but it hasn't happened, Bill, since 1964. Kasey hopes to change that today.
Thanks, Matt. Here's a look at the top 20 in the championship standings with 7 events remaining in the race to the chase. Johnson has the largest point lead of the season. From 4th place to 10th place, the margin just 200 points. Mayfield starts 9th today, just 106 out of the chase, and there's a hungry pack behind him, just 159 points back to pole sitter Kasey Kahne. The Discover Card Countdown to Green continues.
Discover Card Countdown to Green. Brought to you by Discover Card. It pays to discover. And by Fram Air Hog High Performance Air Filter. Fram Hog the Road.
For Jimmie Johnson, the race here in June was one to remember. he won. But for everybody else, it was a race to forget. They had confusion over the flags to pit in, a scoring headache, and that race ended under caution. Dave, that event here in June left a lot of people with a bad taste in their mouth, didn't it?
You know what? But NASCAR has worked to address that, Bill, by giving the fans a green-white-checkered finish. And, guys, that's what you wanted, wasn't it? Yeah. So now they can have their NASCAR cake and eat it, too. And let me remind you how it all works. If the race is going under caution in the late laps, NASCAR can continue counting those caution laps beyond the scheduled distance. That's 200 laps today. Then when the track is ready to go, they will let them take the green, they will take the white, they will take the checkered and give them 2 green flag racing laps to work it out. And that's what you guys wanted, right? So dig into the green-white-checkered. Way to go!
Hey, Dave, you got some cake left there, though, Dave.
Well, yeah, they're still a little red, Bill, in case there's an extended caution. They might stop them so they don't waste fuel and time. And it could still end under caution, which is not, in fact, try the caution finish. It's not that bad, is it? Try it. There, it's...
No, the part with the icing's much better.
Okay, well, you know, these passionate Pocono fans, at least they got the green-white-checkered. That's better than they had in June, Bill.
Very good, Dave. We'll see what happens here today. Dale Jarrett, a 3-time winner at this track, going for his 4th win this afternoon. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. The sun is shining on Pocono for now. Green flag coming at 1:33 Eastern time. Let's go back out to pit road to Marty. Matt.
Bill, the guy who's directly in line to take a shot at Ryan Newman, is 106 points back in 11. Jeremy Mayfield, is this the place, Jeremy, where you've got to make your biggest push to catch Newman?
It certainly is. You know, every week is, but this is definitely one of the spots we can, and we feel like we've already got him down a little bit already, starting, you know, which is, you know, unusual for them starting back like that. But great place for us. We had a great run here the first race, and I really feel good about it now. And got a great car. Dodge is really running good on Friday anyway. Didn't run good yesterday. We've been in practice, but definitely a good place for us to run in.
He is certainly hitting his stride. 5 top 10 finishes his last 8 starts. To Marty Snyder.
Matt, big win last week for Kurt Busch. Now 6th in the championship standings. That gives you a little breathing room. Does that change the way you approach today's race?
I wish it did give us some breathing room. Right now we're 6th, but still we're only 50 points away from the 10th place guys. So we have to continue to add pressure to our program to make sure that we can try to do the best job we can. And we're not going to get greedy, but maybe go for 2 in a row with Irwin Industrial Tools.
Not a lot of distance between 6th and 10th. Bill?
Good point, Marty. Green flag coming up at 1:33 Eastern time. That means the countdown is at 0, and NASCAR Nextel Cup Racing on TNT is coming up next.
This is when the Discover cards count down to green. Let's go racing.
TNT Sports is live in Pocono for the 20th race of the NASCAR Nextel Cup season, the Pennsylvania 500. Just 7 races remain before we set the 10-man field in the chase for the championship. Kasey Mears will take the field to the green flag, and here to take us all to the checkered flag, 3 daredevils that are feeling a little more evil than usual. Alan Bestwick, Wally Dellenbach, and Benny Parson.
As you know, Bill, that's not hard to do around Wally.
Hey, the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series raced here at Pocono last 7 weeks ago, and 16 of the 43 starters didn't finish the race. With 7 races to go in the race to the Chase BP, those mechanical failures that took a lot of those guys out of the race in June could be big today.
They sure could. I don't think there's a tougher racetrack on the circuit on the engine and transmission than Pocono, because to go down that corner, these guys have to shift down and also try to accelerate off the corner hard on transmission. Here, 7 weeks ago, Mark Martin had a top 5. Engine goes bad. Also, the 88 car of Dale Jarrett, another car, solid in the top 5, has an engine problem. If you can get if these guys get the 100 points or so they lost back, they might be in good shape for this top 10 7 races from now.
Dale Jarrett was in the top 5 in the final laps of the race when he had his mechanical failure in June. Wally, 1 hour of practice for these drivers this entire weekend, and that was before qualifying Friday. How does it affect them to start the race?
I don't think so much. They were here 5 weeks ago, and they have setups. They have all the notes. I don't think it's really a big deal. It's a big deal for somebody like Matt Kenseth, who went to a backup car. He's got 2 laps on his car. But outside of that, I don't think it makes a difference. except maybe BP, the guys that want those shocks that they had that they can't have now that they had 5 weeks ago.
I tell you what, going through the garage here this morning, so many guys that had the shocks here 7 weeks ago, they were really said, why didn't we have practice yet? Because we needed to get on the racetrack. The guys that did not have the shocks, we didn't need to practice. We were just 7 weeks ago.
And if you don't know why they didn't have practice yesterday, it rained. Fog, rain, mist. So no track time for the weekend for the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series except that 1 hour on Friday. And with this most difficult racetrack, 3 different shaped and banked corners, 3 different length straightaways, it's a mechanical monster, and the teams really wanted that tune-up time. We'll see how it plays into the race to the chase as it unfolds over the next 500 miles. 43 drivers strapped aboard their cars, and these fans are waiting for the command to get the race underway.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next words you hear will be the most famous in all of auto racing. They will be given by Congressman Don Sherwood, General Kevin Burns of the U.S. Army, Lieutenant General William Wessler III of the Air Force, and General David Huntoon of the U.S. Army, and Norman Pearlson, Editor-in-Chief of Time magazine.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Weather all weekend, waiting to see if Kasey Mears can score his first NASCAR Nextel Cup Series win today. Only one driver's gotten his first win at Pocono in the past. That was Jeremy Mayfield.
Is brought to you by Nextel. Coast-to-coast walkie-talkies in under a second. NASCAR and Nextel, partners in speed. By Chevy, the winningest name in racing, an American revolution. And by KFC's $4 meals. 3 tasty meals complete with 2 sides and a biscuit for only $4 each.
Grandstands are filled on this massive 2.5-mile triangular racetrack in the Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania. The cars that'll start the Pennsylvania 500 moments beginning to roll off of the pit lane. I used to live about a 2-hour drive from here down near a little racetrack in New Jersey called Wall Stadium. The fellow by the name of Ray Evernham made his name there racing modifieds at that racetrack. Actually, a lot of competitors made names for him there, too, but we can't say those on television. Evernham owns the cars Jeremy Mayfield and Kasey Kahne will drive today, but Friday, he got back behind the wheel. So he and Jeremy could show him the do's and don'ts of Nextel Cup racing while Wally was away in New York.
You think Wally would be mad if we wrecked his car? How much gas do you think they put in this? They're going to let us keep running till we run out of gas? You know what we'll do? We'll get on the Parkway. We'll get on the Garden State Parkway, and we'll go down to Sandy Hook or Asbury Park. We'll just drive this thing all the way home. You got money for toll?
Yeah, I got some change. If not, we'll get a sponsor. Mountain Dew will pay for it.
Jeremy with his feet up on the dashboard.
That's usually the reaction you get from somebody in the passenger seat.
Yeah, so see, it's not just you driving that scares people. All right, cars on their track making their parade and pace laps. We're getting ready to go with the Pennsylvania 500. Pretty happy day Friday for Kasey Mears. Budweiser, the official beer of NASCAR, proud to sponsor the Budweiser Pole Award given to the fastest qualifier in each NASCAR Nextel Cup Series race. Kasey with his first career Bud Pole Award, 10th driver to earn his way into the Budweiser shootout at Daytona for next February. Budweiser congratulates Kasey Mears. the latest Budweiser Shootout eligible driver. Check out starting lineup for the Pennsylvania 500. Mears on the front row with front row Joe Nemechek. Row number 2, last weekend's winner, Kurt Busch, finished second in the last 2 July Pocono races.
And Sterling Marlin has led more laps the last 4 or 5 races here than any other driver. Starts 4th.
Row number 3, Elliott Sadler, one of those drivers inside the race to the chase, inside that top 10, but looking back over his shoulders, and the rookie Brian Vickers.
Jamie McMurray, another car out of Chip Ganassi and Felix Sabata stables, and Tony Stewart. Row 4.
Row 5, Jeremy Mayfield, his best track statistically in his Cup career, looking for his 3rd Pocono win. And we continue on down. Michael Waltrip, Rusty Wallace in row number 6. Jeff Gordon and Jimmie Johnson in row 7. Jimmie trying for the Pocono sweep. He won here 7 weeks ago in a dominating performance.
On the inside of row 8, we find Matt Kenseth, the 17 car. Let's try to talk to him. Matt Kenseth, Benny Parsons, you got me?
That's right, Benny.
Hey, Matt, you've only got 2 laps on this race car. Any cause for concern?
I got the greatest team out there behind me putting this thing together, so I feel pretty good about it. I don't feel like we're at a very big disadvantage. You know, everybody pretty much just practiced qualifying on Friday, and race setup and qualifying setup's a lot different, so I think we're pretty much in the same boat as everybody else.
Biffle in the 16 car just practiced race runs. You able to talk to Doug Richard, get some ideas?
We pretty much went off what we did last time. Last time we all ran kind of similar setups, and you know, we're all the race cars are set up fairly close today, so we just pretty much went off what we did last time. This is the same car we raced last time. We just changed some things on the body to try to make it a little bit better. So kind of looked at what they did, kind of looked at what we did last time, and kind of came out with somewhere halfway in between to start the race.
Good luck to you, Matt.
Thanks.
Matt Kenseth qualified 15th for today's Pennsylvania 500, and you look down through the final rows on the grid. Jimmy Spencer, Pennsylvania native at his home track, back in row 18. Greg Sachs back on the circuit, first time since 1998. And Ken Schrader, Morgan Shepherd in on provisionals, as well as Kurt Shelberdine, Jason Jarrett, and Carl Long, who will bring up the tail of the field. Failed to qualify, 3 drivers unable to get into the race. And moving to the back, Jimmy Spencer missed driver introductions. He was scheduled to start 36th. He'll go to the tail end of the line.
You know, back 20 years ago, at driver introduction, it was such a haphazard thing. Some drivers would show up, some drivers wouldn't show up, and it became an embarrassment, really and truly, until NASCAR had to put in a policy. Hey, you miss it, you go to the back of the field. And guess what? Everybody started showing up.
Imagine that. And they should. It's for the fans. Get out there in front of them. Let them see before you go racing. All right, we're a lap away from the green flag. Let's check some final stories on pit road, starting with Marty.
Well, Vinny talked about mechanical failures here in June. Same thing happened to Joe Nemechek. Had a top 5 car, then he lost 4th gear, then 2nd gear, then 1st gear. Ran the last 170 laps of this race with 3rd gear only. Today, same car, same setup as here in June, and currently all 4 gears, hoping for their first win of the season. Matt?
For the next 2 weeks, the big number for Jeff Gordon is 4. Today, he chases his 4th Pocono victory. Next week, his 4th Brickyard 400 trophy. Crew Chief Robbie Loomis brought the same race car they expect to take to Indy next week. If it performs well today, they will take it to the Brickyard. He made the car tighter setup-wise than they had here in June due to no practice. Trying to improve on their finish here in June, which was 4. Dave?
Matt, I've already celebrated green-white-checkered with the fans in the stands, so why not celebrate with Ryan Newman's crew? 100th career start for Ryan here today. But did you also know it is the 800th start for Penske Racing? And in that time, they've amassed 53 victories. So why is the pole man starting 30th, you might ask? Ryan Newman's car very, very tight in the second turn here. He'll start all the way back in row 15. Bill?
Dave, we heard Benny talk about the troubles Mark Martin and Dale Jarrett had here in June, but maybe this is their get-well track. Mark has 17 top 5 finishes here and 5 second-place finishes. He's still looking for his first victory at this track. That would certainly help him in the chase for the championship. As for Dale Jarrett, trying to climb into that top 10, he's a 3-time winner here at Pocono. In his entire career, the furthest Dale has ever started back in the field and gone to victory lane, 24th at Indianapolis. Today, Dale Jarrett starts 24th. Alan?
All right,
No thanks. So the cars coming around to complete their parade and pace laps. We look at some of the numbers on the day here at Pocono. It's going to be a 200-lap race on this 2.5-mile track. And that pit window is big because this is such a long, wide racetrack with little banking in the corners. If you run out of fuel here somewhere past the start-finish line, you're not going to make it back around.
The car will not coast the entire 2.5 miles to get back, so you just simply can't gamble here.
And it always seems like you run out just when you get past pit entrance.
And while you're enjoying today's Pennsylvania 500 live on TNT, here's something you can look for. If you go to NASCAR.com right now, you can sign up for their live race application called Pit Command. It's a nice little enhancement to our race broadcast on TNT or any NASCAR Nextel Cup race. Live race telemetry from all 43 cars to your computer. Plus different in-car audio. You can follow the top 10 cars, compare any two drivers head-to-head, you name it. It's Track Pass on NASCAR.com. Go to AOL or NASCAR.com. Weather today, it's muggy. It's overcast. We could have a threat of showers later on, but for now the track is dry, and the fans are screaming. We're green at Pocono in the Pennsylvania 500.
There's a couple guys there that did not get a very good start. Rusty Wallace being one of them.
Turn 1. And now down the Long Pond straightaway, known here at Pocono. That's the town the racetrack is in, Long Pond, Pennsylvania. Because after all, when you've got 3 straightaways, there's one backstretch. Right. This is the second corner. You'll hear the drivers call it the tunnel turn. The access tunnel into the infield goes underneath that corner.
And this is a tricky corner, as you see Michael Waltrip making a move under Jeff Gordon. It's very aerodynamic dependent. You don't want to be around other cars going through turn 2 because you go through there so fast.
Joe Nemechek, the 01 car, trying to lead that first lap, and he will.
Nemechek underneath Kasey Mears in that third and final corner, and now down the longest single straightaway on the circuit.
And remember, this is the first time these guys have gone down in the corner at 195 miles per hour since qualifying.
4 wide there.
Oh, this place is great for that. The straightaways are so wide, so long. You'll see 4 wide a lot during this race.
And for second place, here comes Kurt Busch, last Sunday's winner in New Hampshire on Kasey Mears. Busch in the 97.
If you can get up underneath somebody getting off of turn 1 and run with them all the way down the Long Pond, it's really your corner in turn 2. You want to be on the inside.
Sorry, Walt. Brian Vickers in 25, working on Jamie McMurray, and he'll pick up the 6th position.
And Tony Stewart, the 20 car, trying to make the pass on Jeremy Mayfield on the outside. A very courageous move on Tony's part.
Aaron Schiff right there. Get down to turn 1, downshift.
And we talked about Joe Nemechek losing all the gears in his transmission back in June, except third. Well, third is actually 1-to-1. That's a normal high gear in a 4-speed transmission.
He got very loose getting into turn 1 there. See his car get sideways. A little bumpy down there, too.
Jeremy Mayfield on the move in the 19. Started 9th. Trying to pick up 8th spot from Stewart. That's a tough corner to go and do side by side.
Held him off.
Kasey Mears slipping back to 3rd, maybe in danger of losing that spot to his teammate, Sterling Marlin. Bill, what's up there?
Yeah, Allen just too tight, so he's going to probably lose a few more positions. Already talking about what they might be able to do when they pit. But that 41 car for Mears, tight off, Wally. Tight off.
Which means?
Which means it won't turn. You get on the throttle, the nose will slide up the racetrack, and it's a throttle-induced height. So when he's on the gas, the car quits turning, and it slides up the racetrack. Guys turn up underneath you. That's where they can pass you when you're tight.
And yes, that is Sterling Marlin's car, just a different brand for his sponsor on the side of the car this weekend. What was that? Was that just a piece of trash that just flew off there?
The last lap, I noticed some trash going in the tunnel corner.
So Sterling up to third, Kasey Mears back to fourth, and here comes Elliott Sadler in the 38, going to try and get that spot from him.
See that car push when they came off that corner? Just exactly what we've been talking about. Marty?
BP, you talk to Todd Perry, talk to Elliott Sadler. They are excited about this race in Indianapolis next week. He's driving a brand new car they built kind of specifically for Pocono and Indy. Very good in these flat racetracks. When they tested Indianapolis, many of the teams there said the 38 was by far the best car there. If it runs well here today, and they expect that, they will take it to Indianapolis. They think it could win both races. Remember, Bill Elliott did that in 2002.
Using that word title on, let's open the old Home Depot virtual garage and show you what it means.
I mean, that's something these teams fight all the time, is that tight off. What happens when you go in the corner? The car is perfect. All four tires are even, and you'll use all four tires are green. But as soon as those front tires get too warm, and you turn them, the car will not turn. It just simply slides up the racetrack, up against that outside retaining wall.
Tight is the slang term that's been around NASCAR for years. I kind of like the road racers term. They call it understeer. It's a little more clearly understood.
I like push.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Pushes up to the wall.
About to lose another spot to 41. To Brian Vickers, a 25 car.
So that'll be fifth place that Vickers will take. And Mears will slide back to sixth. Let's drop back to a race for seventh. Jeff Gordon on the move. He and Tony Stewart there racing for that spot, 24 and 20. Gordon started in 13th position. And that is a team, that 24 team, that has really been on a roll here lately. Led the most laps in 3 of the last 5 races. Last 4 finishes, first, fourth, second. Not bad, Matt.
Running in 8th, Stewart trying to close it on the 24. Jeff Gordon, the only thing he's telling his crew chief, Robbie Loomis, at this point of the race, the car is tightening up and tightening up quicker than he thought it would. So they're going to keep that in mind for that first pit stop, which should come somewhere around lap 35 to 40.
Normally when the car, if it's tight this early, it's only going to continue to go that way. So they're definitely going to have to adjust and make that car loose that first pit stop.
There's Kurt Busch, last weekend's winner, running in second. Marty, he's about a second and 7/10 behind the leader.
Pretty strong, trying to chase down Joe Nemechek. He finished 5th here in June, Alan, and they decided to bring back a different car and completely different package. Looks like it paid off.
A little loose in with no right front spring, a little bit tight off, too much left rear, just like last week. Doing pretty good.
Last week, of course, he won the race, and Jimmy Finney said they brought a different package here because we weren't good enough to win the race, and finishing 5th right now just isn't good enough.
How good was Kurt Busch last Sunday at New Hampshire? He started 32nd and won the race. Joe Nemechek is out in front early in the Pennsylvania 500 from Pocono Raceway. Kurt Busch, Elliott Sadler, Sterling Marlin, and Brian Vickers are the rest of the top 5. NASCAR on TNT, live from Pocono Raceway with the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series Pennsylvania 500. 9 of 200 laps complete, about to be 10. Joe Nemechek is leading. He took the lead from Kasey Mears, the pole sitter, on the first lap and has opened up a 2 1/3 second advantage on second place, Kurt Busch. You see the gap first to second coming at you. Elliott Sadler runs third, Sterling Marlin fourth, Jeff Gordon fifth, Tony Stewart is up to sixth, Jimmie Johnson seventh, Brian Vickers back to 8th. You see the pole sitter Kasey Mears in 9th, and Greg Biffle running 10th. Talking about Matt Kenseth earlier, and the fact that this backup car, he only had a couple of laps on the racetrack. His 2 qualifying laps, he had kind of an unusual incident on his primary car on Friday, which put him into the backup. Matt?
And back in June, Kenseth had a tire go down early in the race, and he came on the radio and said, maybe I have a flat right rear tire. He says the chassis is just not handling like he wants. It is plowing everywhere. He thinks it may be the tire, but then again, he thinks maybe it's not. He's just going to see what happens. The guys, though, are on the wall in the pit in case he does have to duck off turn 3 to hit pit road.
This is a pit road. You can, if you're close enough to the leader, I'm not sure Matt Kenseth is, but you can make a pit stop, change 4 tires, and stay on the lead lap.
Okay, as long as you're not too far behind the leader.
Exactly, and he might be too far behind the leader.
And talked about an unusual incident on Friday that put him into the backup car. He got kind of busy coming down pit road during practice. As we check on the race for 4th place.
Jeff Gordon is, boy, I tell you what, Gordon is coming to the front. Started 13th. He's taken over 4th from Sterling Marlin. Yeah. Kenseth was coming, he had made a practice run, was coming down pit road to go back to the garage area. He was taking down the window net, talking on the radio, and he just kind of got behind on his steering and hit pit wall where you go back in the garage area.
How about that for embarrassing?
And ripped the left side off of it.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. has been sliding backwards some since the drop of the green flag. He took the green in, where is it, 16th place, Marty, and now he's falling back quite a bit.
Yeah, Alan, more like free falling. He's lost 20 positions back to 36 because the car is extremely loose. To him, it feels like a tire is going down, but remember, they had no practice yesterday, so they couldn't really figure out, you know, if it could be a tire going down, if the setup is just that loose, but really loose for Junior, having a hard time hanging on to it.
Let's watch him. Watch him from inside the cars. Goes down straight away, shifts into high gear. He'll get on the brakes, and I don't know if he'll downshift before or in the middle. Right now, downshifts.
Oops. Uh-oh. Locked up. That was not Junior. That was the camera, folks. Don't get excited.
Check the mirror.
Shifting on the backstretch as well.
Shifts into the tunnel turn.
See those big bumps there?
There's the loose right there. Whenever you see the hands go to the right, that's loose.
All right, let's check back up front as Tony Stewart is on the move. He's trying to get a spot away from Sterling Marlin. This will be 6th place. Jimmie Johnson just went through Marlin ahead of him. There's the 48 car, so the defending, well, the most recent winner here at Pocono, I should say, Johnson, Bill, is up to 5th.
And moving forward, despite Alan, he says the car is getting tighter and tighter off the turns, and it's a little weird over the bumps. Also, guys, in turn 3, he said it's getting really slick. It feels like I need a softer tire, is what he told crew chief Chad Knaus. Basically, the complaint from a number of drivers, no grip.
I don't think he's going to get that softer tire, but...
certainly not today.
No. But, you know, looking at the cars, Jimmie Johnson, Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon, all 3 of those cars look the best in turn 1 over the bumps. Stewart was right on the bottom.
You know, Jimmie Johnson leads the Nextel Cup Series championship standings, but because of this race to the chase and the new system used to determine the champion this year, he's really not getting a whole lot of attention for it right now. And earlier this weekend, we asked him his feelings on potentially having a big point lead wiped out at the end of the Richmond race. He said, well, it doesn't matter. My feelings are irrelevant.
You know, I've been vocal and expressed some of my opinions on the point system, my likes and dislikes of it, but you know, at the end of the year, I should say, it doesn't matter. We all know what the point system is, and we're all racing under it. And you know, we've put in a great first half, getting into a great 2/3, and we've got to step up and nail it in those final 10s. So, you know, like I said, it's hard not to let your mind wander and wonder if. But I can't spend too much time doing that. The Slows team can't spend much time doing that because that's not what the trophy is based on this year, and it's time to get to work.
Exactly.
But the wonder ifs will be afterwards if he loses. You know, that's the thing. You don't think about it now, but he will be wondering if he doesn't win this championship.
Oh, certainly, but that's not the way the rules are this year.
Well, I know, but you're going to think about it.
Yep. Now, if you had last year's rules, I would be the champion, but guess what? We don't have. We got better rules this year.
Jimmie Johnson having a good day so far today here at Pocono. He's up to the 5th position after starting back in 14th. Joe Nemechek continues on cruise out in front. He leads 2nd place Kurt Busch by 3 seconds. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. August 4th, 1974, the first NASCAR now Nextel Cup Series race was held here at Pocono Raceway in Long Pond, Pennsylvania. 2.5-mile, 3-cornered track, better than 100,000 on hand here today. And we check our Wendy's race menu next weekend. Need we say much more than the Brickyard 400 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway?
I think that's enough.
And then it's on to the road course in Watkins Glen, the home of American road racing. And we continue on to the Michigan International Speedway and the night race at Bristol. Great racing coming up as we count down the race to the chase here on TNT and NBC. Big lead for Joe Nemechek over Kurt Busch. You check a little farther back, it's Elliott Sadler 3rd, Jeff Gordon 4th, Jimmie Johnson coming through in 5th. Sterling Marlin kind of fading back. That's Jamie McMurray pulling out to challenge him. Marlin was as high as 3rd a little while ago. Now he might lose 9th spot to his teammate.
And the guy right in front of him, Rick Biffle, is flying.
Biffle?
That's right Vickers in front of him. Biffle's left him. He's up to 6th.
Wow.
see Tony Stewart going by Kurt Truman in the 72 car.
Third lap down. Tony is up to 7th place in the opening laps of this one. Tony has finished in the last 3 weeks 5th, 1st, and 5th. So here's another guy doing his usual thing of getting hot late in the season. Well, we'll go put the camera on Greg Biffle, and he almost slides into the wall off the corner. But Biffle in the 16 car started back in 19th spot.
Neutral is good. Neutral is real good.
Absolutely.
Bill?
Yeah, Biffle telling you the story. Started off tight, but getting better every lap, Benny.
And I talked to Doug Richard, the crew chief on the 16, and Friday during the practice, since Greg had to go to Colorado and run the Busch Series race, they did all practice runs on Friday. And what a godsend that was because of the practice yesterday being rained out.
The lead is pretty well in the hands of Joe Nemechek at the moment, so here's the plan. We're going to take a break here, come back and go through the field, all the lead lap cars. That'll get you back to about 38th spot. We're back in a minute on TNT.
It's a sunny afternoon in Pocono, Long Pond, Pennsylvania. The Pocono Raceway, 500 miles for the stars of the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series. Joe Nemechek started outside the front row and took the lead on the first lap, and he's the guy so far. We're going to take you through the field. It's time for a visa through the field. Let's start with the guy that's number 1. Here's Marty.
On a nice leisurely Sunday drive is Joe Nemechek out front, checking out from everyone. Little snug, the only thing he said on the radio, his team's been on a roll lately. 2 top 10s in their last 3 races. Kurt Busch started 3rd, currently in 2nd. He said he's got no overall grip. Radioed on lap 15, just a little bit tight, starting to get a little bit tighter the longer he runs. Matt?
Jeff Gordon, 3rd in points, entering Pocono. 3 wins here on this triangled racetrack. We told you earlier, said the car was tightening up. Now the car is tighter in the tunnel turn. Pretty good, though, in the other 2 turns, Bill.
Boy, an outstanding start to this race for Jimmie Johnson. Looking for the Pocono sweep. Started 14th, has climbed to the top 5. Basically nothing wrong with that car. A little tight off a 3 and a little loose in 1, but he's going the right way. As for the 16 car of Greg Biffle, started off tight. It's gotten a little freer just about every lap. He is very pleased with how that car is performing. Marty?
Well, the last few laps, Elliott Sadler's fallen from 3rd to 6th here. His car is tight, and as that fuel burns off with all these cars, it gets tighter the longer he runs. Start number 197 going for win. Number 3, Tony Stewart having a fine run. Good on entry, he says. Loose off of 1 and 2. They said, hang in there. Piece of cake, guys, with his quote back. Matt?
Brian Vickers said one of the best cars here in June, currently runs in the 8th position. Now, Brian says the car, much like some of his other teammates, the car is a little loose, especially in 3, a little tight in other areas, Bill.
Mark Martin had his worst starting spot ever at Pocono, 21st. He has climbed into the top 10. I talked to his crew chief, Pat Trayson, a few moments ago. Pat said, we're doing fine. On the radio, he said to his driver, go get him. Matt?
Rounding out the top 10 is Jamie McMurray in the 42 car. He finished 9th here in June. He entered today 13 to the championship standings, only 134 markers out of that top 10 spot, trying to make a big push here today. The car a little too tight early on. Alan?
Caution-free so far. Joe Nemechek has led all of the laps, averaging 161.9 miles per hour. He has lapped the 38th place car, Morgan Shepherd, and next ahead of him to be put a lap down is going to be Dale Earnhardt Jr.
And so many cars out here really need a caution flag to get some adjustments made to these cars. No practice on Saturday.
Let's continue our visa through the field with 11th place Michael Waltrip. Matt?
Michael Waltrip having a good run. Now, he told his crew chief, Slugger Labby, earlier on, he says, the car off of turns 1 and 2 is very strong, but I need the most help on entry. He crashed out here in June, but finished 4th 1 year ago, Bill.
Matt Kasey Mears started on the pole, his first pole in this series, but since the green flag, he's been going the wrong way, and this might tell you why.
That thing is horrible center off. It won't roll the center at all, and the front end's really bad center off. I'm still really loose getting in.
So it's been a disappointing start. Mears would definitely like a caution to work on that car. As for Jeremy Mayfield in the 19 car
is real tight. No front grip is what Jeremy's telling his crew. Marty? Bill, a little forward progress for Kevin Harvick. Started 18th, currently in the 14th position. He's one of those guys trying to hang into the top 10, 9th in points, only 5 ahead of Ryan Newman in 10th. A little loose in and loose off for Kevin Harvick. Matty?
Defending series champion Matt Kenseth did not have a flat tire, but the car is just weird, Matty says. It plows everywhere, but also loose on entry. They're looking to make a significant track bar adjustment on their first stop, Dave.
Dale Jarrett's had some trouble today after starting 24th. He couldn't downshift into third in turn 1, reported on lap 7, and he just reported on lap 28. Jumped out of gear again. Hang on, Dale. The 9 car of Kasey Kahne, they've told him all day long, you're running as fast as the leader. He reported the car is a little bit loose and feels a little bit on top of the track. Look for them to pit around lap 32. Alan?
Here comes Joe Nemechek about to put Dale Earnhardt Jr. a lap down.
Now then, Junior's going to go a lap down, but maybe he can run fast enough to stay right behind the 0-1 car before Nemechek starts lapping other cars, and he would get the Lucky Dog Award.
Ricky Craven is not too far ahead of Joe Nemechek, so it's going to have to come out pretty quick.
Now we're hearing from pit road that we may begin to see some pit stops here shortly, so we'll hold up on the rest of the through the field for now and keep an eye on some guys making a dash in for some tires and some fuel. About to complete lap 30.
I mean, right now would not be a bad time for Junior to go ahead and make a pit stop and make some adjustments, although he would not be awarded the Lucky Dog.
And you know, the sun's in and out right now, which is going to affect this racetrack too, so they're trying to make adjustments to the race cars, but as the weather changes or the sun goes behind the clouds or not, it changes the racetrack.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. started in 16th position. He fell back through the field. And as you can hear, is struggling with that race car. And this is the second place driver in the NASCAR Nextel Cup Championship standings.
They say it's rolling over. Is that what he said, BP?
I thought he said rolling over. It's really loose. I did hear that part.
It looked like he's waving. He's going to probably come in the pits this time.
I don't think this is a bad idea on his part.
Put a spring rubber in the right rear. Keep that spoiler up.
Here he comes off the final corner, and indeed Earnhardt Jr. will come to pit road under the green flag at lap 30. 55 miles an hour is the pit road speed limit today, and Jeff Gordon is following Junior down pit road. Gordon giving up pit spot for a pit stop as well. Marty?
Yeah, you guys caught part of the conversation, BP. Instead of just rolling over, it is so loose. They're going to go 4 rounds of wedge on the right side, 4 rounds of wedge on the left side. Those are major chassis changes. They talked about experimenting for Indianapolis this week. Matty?
Steve Letarte already made a wedge adjustment on the right side of the car. Left side tires are on. He's away. The car was loose on entry into turn 2 and loose on entry into turn 3. Dave?
12 car of Ryan Newman has not been a happy car all day long. Loose in the turns off, tight off all 3 corners. They're going to make track bar wedge adjustment as he continues down pit road. Bill?
Jeremy Mayfield on pit road. The car too tight. Air pressure adjustments. 2 rounds in the right rear and 1 up on the left side of the car. Dave?
Here's the car down that long pit road. There goes the wrench in the window. Now they work on the adjustments, filling the car full of fuel. 4 rounds in the left rear. Big adjustment for Newman to try to get this car back in the hunt. Marty?
Kurt Busch has been a pretty happy camper inside the race car for most of the afternoon. Just a little bit tight, as we talked about earlier. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment. They're also going to make a wedge adjustment on the left side, trying to loosen that car up just a little bit. Again, a brand new car here for Kurt. Matt?
And Michael Waltrip, the crew already servicing the vehicle. We told you earlier he felt like he needed the most help on entry. Going to make an air pressure adjustment today.
Kasey Kahne was reporting his car was loose. They're going to go ahead and make, looks like a wedge adjustment in that car. Again, wrench in the rear window, right side tires being changed. Air pressure adjustment as well for Kasey. Matt?
A slip by the gas man on Rusty Walsh's team, but the tires are on. We told you earlier, round of wedge and air pressure to try to fix that race car. Just will not turn on entry.
And Joe Nemechek, the race leader, comes on to pit road for his service. Jimmie Johnson goes into the lead, collects 5 bonus points toward the championship. And here's Nemechek to the attention of the Army crew. Ricky Craven's team had put their signboard down because Craven's following him in. He stopped a little short, Marty.
That'll cost just a little bit of time, but this team is not going to make any chassis. Now the jack breaks, so they can't get the right side of the car up. Bad pit stop here for the 0-1 guy. guys having a tough time on pit road. The car's been perfect, and the jack is broken. They can't get the left side up either, Bill.
Working on the car of Craig Biffle, had to dodge the 80 of Carl Long, so that might have cost him a second or two getting into his pit stall. No chassis change, just 4 tires and fuel. That car's getting better with every lap. Hardy.
Loose race car for Tony Stewart heads back out on pit road. They've been 1 round up on the track bar, or 1 round down on the track bar, trying to tighten that car up. Dave?
99 car of Jeff Burton in wedge and track bar adjustment, air pressure as well. Jeff was reporting his car was tight, especially in turn 3. Bill.
Here's Jimmie Johnson in. Had taken over the race lead. Now he comes down the pit lane. Troubles for Brendan Gaughan leaving his pit stop because we took the catch can with him. That might cost him a penalty. We'll see. All right, Bill.
Jimmie Johnson all the way to this end of pit road. Car has gotten better. Remember, started off tight in 3, a little loose in 1. They are going to make a chassis adjustment, trying to make Johnson's car a little bit better. Around in the left rear, around to the left side front. Tire changer slipped, but he's right there. Lug nuts are off, waiting for the jack to come up. This is going to be a long stop. This is disappointing for this team. Long stop after disappointing run at Loud. Dave.
Dale Jarrett is in. They're going to make no chassis adjustments. He's happy with that part of the car. As for the transmission, there's really nothing they can do right now to help fix it. They'll send it back out, hope he can get up through the gears, especially heading off pit road.
Busy place on pit road. By the way, Brendan Gaughan will come back in for a penalty for removing equipment from the pit box. And the leader at the moment is being shown as Elliott Sadler, followed by Matt Kenseth. Here's what happened to Brendan Gaughan.
Left the wrench in there, Benny.
Yep.
Wait.
Yep, you cannot leave your pit box with any kind of equipment on the car. Gas can, wrench, catch can, doesn't matter.
Here comes Matt Kenseth on the pit road as Brendan Gaughan answers the black flag. Matt?
The Killer Bees going to work on Matt Kenseth's Ford. Track bar adjustment for the 17. He said the car was just weird, plowing everywhere, but his biggest concern, though, was trying to fix the loose side entry. Down 2 rounds in the track bar. He's away.
Oh, man, that front tire changer was done in about 12 seconds and want him to go on the rear tire changer a couple seconds slower. What a great stop of that 17 bunch.
All right, so after the pit stop cycle around, here's your race for the lead. Kurt Busch and Jeff Gordon just about nose to tail, and look who's just in front of them.
And you can see how bad that pit stop hurt Joe Nemechek.
Yeah, because he's about 2 seconds behind these guys.
That's right.
So it's Kurt Busch leading, Jeff Gordon second, Greg Biffle third. Jimmie Johnson should cycle around to 4th, followed by Joe Nemechek 5th. Then Elliott Sadler, Mark Martin, Matt Kenseth, Brian Vickers, and Tony Stewart the top 10 as they get back up to full speed after the series of pit stops.
There's Gordon. Man, that car looks fast.
It does.
So Jeff Gordon goes to the point.
Left rear's just up in the air. We're unbelievably tight, leaving turn 3 now.
That was Kurt Busch talking about his car. And you saw doing all those pit stops, all those adjustments in the rear of the car. What they were doing was trying to raise the rear of the car. NASCAR allows the height measurement on the rear of the car plus or minus a ½ inch. All these guys went through the technical inspection exactly right. They're trying to get that ½ inch that NASCAR gives them, because getting the rear in the air is going to help keep the nose down on the ground and help that tight off situation.
By the way, Dale Earnhardt Jr. here is on the tail end of the lead lap. He's trying to stay in front of Jeff Gordon if he can and hope a caution will come out. We talked about Joe Nemechek coming down pit road. A couple of things went wrong on his pit stop. Ricky Craven is pitted in the next stall behind him, and Craven's team had dropped the signboard down because Craven was following Nemechek in, so he stopped the pit short, then moved forward.
And then they had problems with the jack.
The jack wasn't up quite high enough.
And so it cost Joe Nemechek a pile of time. Instead of leading the race, he's 2 1/3 seconds behind Jeff Gordon. Very disappointing effort for the pit crew on their first attempt of the day. Car on TNT at Pocono Raceway, where the Pennsylvania 500 is coming up on the 100-mile mark for the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series. You're looking at the race for the lead. Jeff Gordon in the 24, being closed on by Jimmie Johnson in the 48. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, it is my grand pleasure to cue the duck.
Oh, that's my line.
I got you this
Darn,
week.
you got me this time.
It is our Aflac NASCAR Nextel Cup trivia question. Who was the last championship leader to win a Pocono NASCAR Nextel Cup race? Driver who came into the weekend leading and picked up the victory here? Jeff Gordon. Very good. What was your clue?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
He was leading.
He was leading. Thank you. That was en route to his third series championship in 1998. He swept the Pocono races that year. Almost swept, excuse me. Just missed one in the June race to Jeremy Mayfield. So there you go. Well, of course, now somebody's sitting at home saying, well, Jimmie Johnson won here in June. Yes, but he wasn't leading the championship at that time. Earnhardt Jr. was.
You know, if Johnson could go on and win the race today, I think there's about a $100,000 bonus for him for leading the NASCAR Nextel Cup points and winning the race.
Is 90,000 close enough to 100?
That's pretty close.
Who puts that up?
Nextel.
We saw Kurt Busch move over and let his teammate Greg Biffle go by and take off after the Chevrolets. See if we can catch them.
How about we check the championship standings as they run with Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s struggles today, back in 34th place, now a lap down to the leaders. He would lose second place in the championship. And the race to the chase, 6th through 10th. Very close. All of those positions.
But I'm not interested in that. I want to see the next panel.
You mean the people?
There you go. That's what I want to see. Jeremy Mayfield just 43 points out of 10. McMurray just 77. Dale Jarrett 85.
All those guys have a shot.
Oh, man, yeah.
Because Ryan Newman is struggling so badly today. He's back in 32nd place. They started the day today, and Mayfield was 106 points behind Newman for that 10th spot. Pressure's on. 7 races to go in the race to the chase. Pressure's on Jeff Gordon, too. Jimmie Johnson is all over his back bumper looking for the top spot, and he might get it right here.
Get it, yeah.
Jeff said, look, go right ahead. Go right ahead.
I don't know. I think Jeff has hands full there.
Yeah, I do, too.
There's a couple of bumps down there. And
yeah, they're
caught one in the wrong way or something. So Jimmie Johnson is out in front. Jimmie Johnson led 126 of 200 laps in the June race here en route to his win. What are you laughing at, VP?
The 24 car, he's trying to keep up with 48. He's going too fast for him. Ryan Newman on pit road, that guy 10th in NASCAR Nextel Cup points.
32nd place as he made the left-hand turn for pit road, and this is a long Pocono pit road, so it's going to take a few seconds till he gets to Dave.
He's in now, Alan. He radioed his crew just a couple of laps ago, said, I think I have a flat tire. Then he reasoned that he might not, but he said, I can still put the steering wheel in any position, and it doesn't make any difference. This car is impossible to control. They'll change 4 tires for safeguarding any situation there, but they won't make any other chassis adjustments and fill it full of fuel.
It just takes one race, and it changes everything. Points.
I'm telling you, this thing is going to be really exciting the time we get to Richmond.
I talked to Matt Boyle, Ryan's crew chief, this morning. He said this is the car they won Michigan with in June, but they couldn't figure out why they couldn't get it to go here in the little practice they got on Friday. Jimmie Johnson leads. Jeff Gordon, Greg Biffle, Kurt Busch, and Elliott Sadler after 100 miles of the Pennsylvania 500 on TNT. TNT from Pocono Raceway in Long Pond, Pennsylvania, where this 2.5-mile, 3-cornered racetrack is hosting the Pennsylvania 500. We saw Jeff Gordon barrel on off into turn 1, trying to stay ahead of Jimmie Johnson there a minute ago, and his car started hopping up the racetrack a little bit. That corner's kind of tough, isn't it?
It is, and you have to be right at the bottom. Turn 1 is a fun corner. I love this place. I love all the corners here, but turn 1, if you're right, you have a stiff race car. If you hit the bumps just the wrong way, it'll shoot you up the racetrack.
See, now Jimmie is running up high out of those bumps. It looked like Jeff Gordon a little bit ago tried to follow Jimmie down in turn 1, and Jimmie's a little bit too fast for him. He didn't like it when he got down there.
We talked with Jeff earlier in the weekend about that tricky turn 1 here at Pocono. He said it can be a handful.
It's a long, very fast front straightaway, carrying a lot of speed in there, so you need good brakes, you know, and you need the car to be really comfortable getting in there. And once you do get down in there and you downshift, there's a lot of bumps, they're like swells, almost big dips and bumps as you go through there, and the car, you know, will get tight and then loose, tight and loose. So definitely have your hands full all the way through there, but this track also has banking, so you can carry quite a bit of speed through there.
And it is a handful when you hit them just wrong. Exactly. The car actually hops, and it catches, and then you catch it, and then it goes loose, and you catch it. But really a fun racetrack to drive.
But used to, I mean, 10 years ago, you had to be right on the bottom of the racetrack to get around. But I noticed the last few years, they're able to go up and run that high than they used to.
When we saw Jeff try to stay with Jimmie Johnson through that corner a couple laps ago, here's what he said on the team radio.
He's a lot better than us down in 1 and 2. We hold our own everywhere else.
Everywhere else being turn 3. Matt.
Wally, 2 laps ago, Jeff Gordon came back on the radio and told Robbie Loomis, you will have to tighten me up because I'm loose everywhere else except for turn 1. And you heard how he was sizing up Jimmie Johnson, knowing he feels like that car, which won here in June, will be the guy he will have to try to beat again.
Well, sure looks that way because he's cutting some fast laps.
And Johnson is just sailing away from Jeff Gordon. Here's the second place car we're looking at. Jimmie Johnson has already put 2.5 seconds on Jeff Gordon. There is the 48, and Jeff now 2.487 seconds behind him the last time they crossed the start-finish line.
There he goes. There comes Jeff Gordon. And I noticed that the leader has lapped Kenny Schrader. So right now, if the caution flag were to come out, Dale Earnhardt Jr. would not get the Lucky Dog award. He's got to catch Schrader and pass him before he would be the next car 1 lap down. And under NASCAR rules, on a caution flag period, the car that's not on the lead lap, scored not on the lead lap, gets an award. He goes and makes up a complete lap. 2.5 miles here, which is a huge reward.
Check in intervals from the leader back to the rest of the top 10. You see Greg Biffle closing.
Mark Martin. Kasey Kahne.
How about that?
Second fastest that lap.
Yeah, I found this stat on Jeff Gordon while we're looking at him that I found remarkable. You know that in his Pocono career in the Nextel Cup Series, he's finished first or second in a third of his starts here. First or second in a third of your races at any track. Pretty big. Huge. Kurt Busch fading back to 8 seconds behind leader Jimmie Johnson in 5th and trying to hold off Joe Nemechek for 6th. Marty?
Yeah, Alan, at the rate 48's going, everybody's fading back from the leader right now. Kurt was loose earlier on in the race, and BP, they added a spring rubber to the left rear, a full rubber, tightening up that race car. Now he's a little too tight. Matt?
4 cars behind in the 8th position, Brian Vickers. Now Vickers is racing for redemption. Got a crash on the track.
Turn 2. It is Scott Wimmer.
And he is stuck in the mud. He is not going anyplace.
Did it hit anything or did it just spin?
Well, at least he's got it started. Don't tell me he's going to drive out of there.
That left rear flat.
Left rear. Looks like he's flat, yeah. I can't believe he was able to get that car out of that mud.
I think the left rear flat helped him.
Yeah, could have.
Gave him some grip.
Yeah.
Had a lot of rain here over the weekend. Check out what happened to Scott Wimmer across the second corner.
Left rear flat.
Yeah.
That's what put him there.
He was slowing down. He knew he had a problem, so he's lucky he didn't hit anything.
I've seen cars spin off that tunnel corner, go down and hit the inside wall.
Looking ahead from Ryan Newman.
Where's your muddy?
Where's your mud flaps?
You may have to come in for a clean windshield there.
So Wimmer trying to limp around. He went past the pit road.
Ooh, that's not
good.
That's not good here because I've had tires rip apart doing just what he's doing, and it'll take the fender with you.
You should see what he's trying to do.
He gets a lucky dog.
Well, no, as the field was frozen.
Oh, that's right.
He was ahead of the pace car, so he's trying, as long as he maintains a reasonable pace, he's able to stay in that lap.
That's true.
So he's risking the damage to the race car to try and stay on the lead lap.
That's probably a good gamble on his part. Come on, tires, stay together.
Yeah. By the way, BP, your observation a minute ago is correct. Ken Schrader is the lucky dog on this caution, so Earnhardt Jr. is still trapped a lap down.
And Ryan Newman, that unscheduled stop he made just a few laps ago, he is now 1 lap down to the leader, Jimmie Johnson.
And they're back in 35th place. There is your lucky dog this time.
And I think Wally Dallenbach is the guy that gave that award the name Lucky Dog. Very aptly so.
So, that's how he feels right now.
Don't pump him up too much. So we'll see a set of pit stops here. Marty, what do you got?
Hey, guys, they're talking on the radio with Dale Earnhardt Jr. now. He said if we're going to change drivers, now is the time. John Andretti is suited up in the pits. He has his helmet on, a Budweiser uniform on. He's standing in front of the pit box, and they are going going to put him in the car the second time by. So we'll keep you updated on that. We'll cover pit stops first.
And Junior was getting ready to get out of the car.
Yeah, pulling the hose. That was a cool hose right there that you put down the front of your uniform. Get some cool air. Sometimes you plug it to your helmet.
And the 22 car made a pit stop with that flat tire. They're going to change left sides. And he's just trying to keep from being lapped.
One thing about Junior making a driver change here, it won't be like New Hampshire. He'll have a lot more time to get it done.
Here come the leaders to pit road. The stops will be at lap number 52, Matt.
Jeff Gordon will have a difficult exit because the 22 car is still in. He tries to point himself out a little bit. They're going to make a track bar adjustment. Jeff really needs help more in turns 2 and 3. The car way too loose, Marty.
Elliott Sadler had an opening behind him, so an easy in comes in running fourth. He said, whatever change you made last time really helped out. I want more side bite. They did a track bar adjustment and a pound out of both lefts.
A slow stop for Jeff Gordon. The jack started to come down. They had to go back and hit those lugs in the left rear, Bill.
Good stop going for Jimmie Johnson. Wants a little more forgiveness. He changed his lines. We can get back at the turns better. It's 4 tires and fuel. Slight air pressure adjustment, Dave.
Kahne already down pit road. A good stop for his team. He picked up a couple of positions. It's an air pressure adjustment. He said the car pushes to a loose condition. Just keep doing the air pressure adjustment we started last time.
Well, Jeff Gordon lost some ground. And Matt Kenseth is still on pit road.
Looks like they're working on the sway bar or fender adjustments, but I think they're making the fender adjustments.
And of course here at Pocono, a caution flag lap takes such a long time. They've got the time. All they're giving up. I say all they're giving up. They're giving up track position. So Junior getting ready to get out. You see he's got the gloves off. He's got his hands down where the release for the seatbelt is.
We should have time, but we know where the pace car is first.
See it loosening up the shoulder belt. Those straps.
And getting ready to exit.
And forward, just tell Shannon to chill out there, Troy. Wait till I holler and hit him, and then I'll go.
Jamie McMurray's going to pick up a penalty from his pit stop because a tire was left in the outside half of the pit box when the car left, so he's going to have to go to the end of the line.
I wonder if they have to use a seat insert.
Yes, they do.
With John.
Yes.
Yeah.
I saw the thing sitting on top of the pit box.
The seat insert is, well, obviously Dale Jr. is taller than John Andretti, so they make these inserts that you put in the seat that actually get you closer to the steering wheel and closer to the pedals.
Yes, last week at Loud New Hampshire, Martin Truex Jr. was his relief driver, and they're almost identical in size. So this week, had a much smaller driver. They needed the insert to slide down in the seat.
This kind of unexpected. I talked to Tony Healy this morning. He said that Junior expected to run the whole race.
You see that one of the crew guys holding the insert right there.
And they've got much more time here this weekend to make the driver change than they did at New Hampshire last weekend.
Yeah, Jake Guarneri went in the right side. B. Hoover went in the left side and actually put the insert in. John Andretti came to the shop on Tuesday, made that insert, molded it to Junior's seat. You see Andretti climbing in the race car right now. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has come back beneath the tent over here to get some shade. He said he felt like he was hurting the race team. His left leg was starting to go numb. That's where the most damage is from the fire that he suffered 2 weeks ago. And he felt like he just couldn't feel the brake pedal, so maybe he was hurting the way the car was performing, and the car was not performing that well. Expect these guys to maybe experiment a little bit for the rest of this race. Use this as a test for Indianapolis, because remember, they did not test Indianapolis as a driver change approaches 50 seconds now. You see, remember last week they had to do this very quickly, as you guys talked about. A lot of time here at Pocono, very long caution laps as they will try to beat the pace car out.
Yeah, they got plenty of time. The pace car is only approaching turn 2, almost a half a lap away, so they've got plenty of time to get John Andretti securely in there and be all ready to go.
And I don't know about so much as, I mean, obviously it'll help him test-wise for Indianapolis, but John gets around this place pretty good.
And folks, right there is one sad young man. I mean, after the incident in Indiana Raceway when he was burned in the Corvette, you know, we all said, and he said, yeah, he'd like to do it again and what have you. But now, 2 weeks into it, having to get out of his race car, he's probably having some second thoughts about it. Because this is not good to get out of that race car.
complete. John Andretti will rejoin on the lead, well, in the same lap that they were in. Still one lap down after Earnhardt Jr. was unable to stay in front of the leaders earlier in the race. Cleanup continues under the caution flag. Jimmie Johnson is the race leader. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has climbed out of his machine for the day. Green flag as NASCAR on TNT comes back to Pocono Raceway. Jimmie Johnson the leader over Elliott Sadler, Kurt Busch, Greg Biffle, and Brian Vickers.
See Brendan Gaughan, the 77, trying to drive by his teammate Ryan Newman.
I get him.
He does.
Those should be the first two cars one lap down. Gaughan in the 77, Newman in the 12.
And Newman restarted right next to Jimmie Johnson. He got a terrible restart.
And Kurt Busch trying to take over that second spot from Elliott Sadler. Okay. Trying it again.
Second place.
Gotta be inside. Usually that's the better spot.
But here comes the crossover move, maybe? No, not quite. Guy goes steaming off into that second corner. A lot of times he'll slide up the track coming off, and someone will try a crossover, try and cut back under him down that next straightaway.
Mark Martin, the 6th car, trying to get alongside, I think that's Brian Vickers in 25.
Who is that?
That was Brendan. Yeah, Brendan hit the curb and shot up the racetrack. We saw that happen with Robbie Gordon and, was it Ryan Newman?
Yeah, last time.
Yeah.
In June. And Jeff Gordon, all the way back in 10th spot.
25 car loose. Sorry, Alan, that was good. We saw that 25 car get loose there a couple times today. That was sideways.
Dave, what's going on with the 12 car?
Well, this car has not been good at all, Benny. Remember, they came in for that unscheduled stop under green. All the tires were up. All the lug holes were fine, so that was not the problem. They aren't sure what the problem is. He came in this time. They made another big wedge and track bar adjustment, but the big thing for Ryan today is he said, guys, see all those cars that pulled away from me on the restart? The motor's not that great either. He's not happy.
That's good stuff right here.
Yeah. Mark is running in 5th place. Jeff Gordon will be in 6th. Check that mark in 6th place, Bill.
And just having a brilliant run. Just talked to his crew chief, Pat Bryson, says the car is just a little bit free. Their last conversation was, you're doing an awesome job, Mark. Mark said back to the crew, guys, we've got some pretty good horsepower here today.
Race to the chase to qualify for the top 10. Jeremy Mayfield within 40 points of Newman. Dale Jarrett, 79. Kane, 88. And Mark Martin just 101 back. And Jamie McMurray, 118. If the race ends now, obviously, people
Closing up.
closing up is right.
Oh, it's going to be tight. And it could even turn over by the end of the day if Newman continues to struggle like this.
And you see McMurray has lost a couple of spots today with that penalty. He had to come back on the pit road.
Joe Nemechek trying to make his way back toward the front. By the way, Mark Martin is in 5th place. One of our scoring computers locked up. I had to go to the backup.
The backup.
Yeah. But that's why we have a backup. Now, we talked about a minute ago, Jamie McMurray and Jeff Gordon having problems during this last set of pit stops. Let's go back and show you what happened to them.
You know, same thing with Jeff Gordon happened on the 01 car. They go around the left side. Jack goes under the car. They jack the left side up. Everything is fine. Left front guy's okay. The left rear is the one. See, it's too low. The car is too low. They've got to jack it up some more. The left rear is the one that hangs down the most. They've got to get up a little higher.
And you watch this. You watch a tire from McMurray's team come right in front of Michael Waltrip. And that's why they made that rule.
So that the teams would not lay their tire down in front of that car behind them
and block them. And cost them time on pit road.
Exactly. And damage the front fenders when you hit it and all the rest. Michael was kind of lucky he didn't catch that tire leaving. So McMurray went to the back of the lead lap for the restart. He's in 27th place right now. We talked about Jeff Gordon falling back to 10th for the restart. He's picked his way back to 6th. And this is the race for third place. I wanted to look at the backup computer first to make sure I was right.
Good point.
Elliott Sadler in 38 and Greg Biffle in 16. Jimmie Johnson's team getting the job done on pit road a minute ago, getting their driver on and off with the race lead. Here are the guys that are over the wall.
Chad
Ted Canals, crew chief, Rockford, Illinois.
Ryan McRae, front tire carrier, San Bernardino, California.
Corey Quick, front tire changer, Balls, Missouri.
Chris Anderson, Jack Mayer, Tampa, Florida.
Ron Malik, rear tire carrier, Franklin, Wisconsin.
Shane Parsnell, rear tire changer, Oswego, New York.
Jim Pollard, gas man, High Point, North Carolina.
Mike Knauer, catch can, Cambridge, Maryland.
Matt Clark, pit crew coach, North Haven, Connecticut.
Matt has coached his boys well. They have held on to the lead for Jimmie Johnson, looking for a sweep of Pocono Raceway Nextel Cup races this year. More than 100,000 on hand at Pocono Raceway for the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series Pennsylvania 500. So far, the weather has held. It's actually a beautiful day. Sun is shining, and Jimmie Johnson is enjoying it most out in front of this race as we've just gone past the 150-mile mark. Our singular race talk poll, we were talking about turn 1 at Pocono. A lot of drivers over the years here called turn 2 at this racetrack the toughest corner on the entire circuit. What do you think? Pocono's turn 2, maybe Darlington's turn 2, Watkins Glen's S's, or turn 1 at Indianapolis, that big tunnel of fans you go down? Give us a vote, and we'll talk about it in just a little while.
Okay.
Got mine.
I'm mine, too.
Looking at the race for second, third, and fourth here, Kurt Busch in the 97 is second. Greg Biffle in the 16 is third. Elliott Sadler in the 38 is fourth. Biffle just took that third spot away from Sadler about a lap ago. Nice job by Biffle, who spent yesterday in Colorado Springs, starting last and winning a NASCAR Busch Series race that you saw here on TNT. Back here in Pennsylvania today after the 3,400-mile round trip by air and looking to make it a weekend sweep.
You know, we talked about the mechanical problems the teams have with engines and transmissions. Going down in turn 1, the corners these cars just came through. You go down in that corner, you're running about 195 miles per hour. You got to brake, you got to shift down to third gear and try to make that corner. The reason that the transmission and engine have so much problem because that's the last thing on your mind. The first thing on your mind is survival.
Making it through the corner.
Making it through the corner. So engines and transmissions.
And there's a lot of different ways to do that, just downshift. A lot of guys downshift in a turn in the third gear as soon as they get off the gas and they brake. There's other cars that wait till they get way down in the turn 1 before they downshift, which is easier on the motor. Matt, what's going on with Rusty?
He started 12th, Wally, but he's faded outside of the top 20. Larry Carter, what's wrong with your race car?
Well, you know, we missed happy hour yesterday, and a lot of times we find out some small problems we may have, and actually a little bit of a bigger problem. We got the shifter plate on overdrive reverse, so his shift pattern is actually backwards, which fourth is third, and third is fourth, and he's doing a super job with it. I mean, it really requires a lot of concentration. If we can manage to run the whole race and him remember his shift pattern, you know, we got a pretty decent car. So, you know, just one of those things that happens. Human make mistakes, and the guys at the shop do a super job, but, you know, we'll learn from it, and hopefully we can come out of here with a good finish.
Rusty came on the radio and said, this engine is going south. It's about 500 RPMs off, and that's exactly why. The transmission. Marty?
Well, Matt, I bear some bad news. BP for that man. Guess what happened to Joe Nemechek? He has lost first, second, and fourth gear. Same exact thing that happened to him here in June. They were trying a new transmission today, developed by Tex Power, a single rail shifter. It's supposed to be tougher, more endurance-related shifter, transmission rather, and it has gone bad. First, second, and fourth gear is gone for Joe Nemechek. Remember what I said on the restart about Rusty? Had a bad start?
Yeah, that's why.
That's why.
Yep.
So if third and fourth is wrong, then first and second must be wrong as well. I mean, you know, first has got to be second, and second's got to be first. Oh, Lord, I've never figured that out. Could you?
The only way I could relate to that, I went to Australia to cover a sports car race a couple of years ago and got a rental car that had a manual shift on the left-hand side. Yeah, and I was trying to figure out, okay, what gear's going to be where here? I can't imagine doing that at 190 miles an hour. And for Joe Nemechek, trouble bug has struck him again. Jimmie Johnson, well out in front, 2 1/4 seconds. His lead on second place, Kurt Busch, here at Pocono.
Nextel Cup Racing from Pocono on TNT is brought to you by Ford, the official truck of NASCAR. By Fram Air Hog High Performance Air Filter. Fram, hog the road. And by Budweiser. It's time for a fresh one. Grab a Budweiser. The race is on. Sun peeking out from behind the clouds every now and then, but definitely shining on Jimmie Johnson, that 44 Lowe's Chevrolet. Johnson in the same car he had here in June that led 126 laps. He's threatening to do all that and more again this time. Let's take you through the field. Jimmie has finished 7th or better in all 5 of his Pocono races. He's a little free in the center. He's also getting updates on the 24 and the 9 from his crew chief. By the way, their last pit stop, very nice, 13.5. Marty?
Bill, the one man that can actually see Jimmie Johnson is Kurt Busch. His car was loose on the last run, as we talked about. They put a spring rubber in the left rear. He said it's pretty good right now. Wants no changes on this next stop. All he needs now is a little track position to catch that 48. Bill?
Greg Biffle having another strong run. Biffle says the cars in front of him have much better grip. The crew chief and company will make an air pressure change when they make their next stop. But it's a strong run for Biffle, looking for a weekend double dip. Matt.
And battling Biffle for that 3rd position is Jeff Gordon, the 24 car. He takes it diving down into turn 1. He said the adjustments they made in the last stop, the track bar adjustment, has helped that race car. Restarted 10th, currently runs in 3rd. Marty?
Elliott Sadler solidly in the top 5 and 5th. Matt said lost a lot of front grip on this run. They're going to adjust on the next stop, talking about air pressure adjustment to help him out. Dave?
Marty, remember Kasey Kahne started the day 20th, but with a quick stop under green, and they just picked up 3 positions on that last pit stop. And a fast race car. He's moved his way up into the top 10 at this point. A little tight into turn 1 right now. Bill?
Mark Martin in that 6th car. His march to the front has slowed a little bit. The car is just too loose. In fact, Mark says, it's killing me. They're going to add 2 rounds of wedge next stop. Marty?
Well, Bill, being loose was also killing Tony Stewart. His quote was, we're wrecking loose going into turn 3. That was on lap 68 just a few laps ago. Tony, like most of the teams, probably about 10 laps away from hitting that.
2 issues for Brian Vickers. He says the entry is not bad when he gets off the corner and on the gas, but he really needs some help in the tunnel turn. His other issue, he is under the weather today. He said he will need lots of fluid today. He's drinking all that he has. He's going to need to be replenished later on. Bill?
Boy, outstanding run for Terry Labonte from 29th starting spot all the way up to currently 10th. And also carrying a different paint scheme this week. Kellogg's an official Olympic sponsor. He's got that red, white, and blue paint on it. He's a former winner here at Pocono. Alan?
There are your top 10 drivers as Jimmie Johnson continues to lead. 4 leaders, 5 lead changes today. Johnson has led the most laps, 33 of the 73 that have been run. Let's keep going through the field. 11th place, Jeremy Mayfield. Bill?
Well, for Mayfield and the guy behind him, Mears, boy, it's been a difficult day. Round out of the left rear, round in the right rear. 4 tires for Jeremy on his last stop. As for Kasey Mears, the car was a little loose and tight off. Well, let's check that. It was extremely loose in and tight off. They made the changes. Now the car is just too tight all around, Marty.
Well, we're going to talk to Dale Earnhardt Jr. He said, let's wait a little while to talk. He's going to go back into the garage area. He wanted to talk, and he said, you know what, let me collect myself. Very emotional when they got out of the car. He's still upset. Sat on pit road for a long time watching his team. The 12 car's on pit road, Dave.
Marty, the 12 car of Ryan Newman is in again. Still very unhappy with that car. Another wedge adjustment. Left side tires changed and work on damage on the left front fender.
Man, costly day in that race to the chase for Ryan Newman and company.
Goes another lap down.
So Newman shown back in 33rd place. He'll probably drop 1 spot as a result of that pit stop. 34th, a couple of laps down. Race for 3rd place. Kurt Busch, 97. Greg Biffle, 16. Jeff Gordon has passed them and left them.
I'll tell you one thing, Ryan Newman in the 12 car, they really need to get this car better here at Pocono, because next week these cars go to Indianapolis Motor Speedway, a track very similar to this racetrack. What works here should work. Oh, Biffle just runs in the wall off turn 1.
So Biffle will see if he did any damage to the right side fenders of the 4th place car.
See any tires?
Got it. Yeah. Matt, you got something for us on Ward Burton?
Ward Burton also using Hendrick Power, having an outstanding day. Qualified 27, has slowly made his way up to 13th. Earlier in the race, he was sliding the nose lows, and also the car was too tight trying to get back in the gas. Air pressure adjustment has held, Marty.
Joe Nemechek hanging in there with just third gear, Matt, and they had this problem in June. Nursed it home with a top 20 finish. He said when he gets behind other cars, he just stops, cannot turn behind other cars in traffic. Dave?
In his 51st start here at Pocono, Ricky Rudd currently runs in the 15th position. That's after starting 33rd. It's been a good day for them. They made no chassis adjustments to the car in the last two stops. It's running well. Marty, back.
Well, Dave, Kevin Harvick said they are just killing us off the corners. That's where we're getting beat. I have nothing for these guys. Remember, a lot of teams are shifting 6 times here. Harvick just doing it twice. Dave?
The 10 car of Scott Riggs. He was really tight from the center off the corner. He said, guys, let's take a rubber out of the left rear on the last stop. In fact, take the biggest one you got out of there. They did, and the car's a little bit better, Matt.
Even with the transmission trouble, Rusty Wallace slowly making his way into the top 20. Currently runs the 18th position. Now, in his last stop, they made some significant adjustments to try to help his race car. It was very loose on exit. It just will not turn in the center of the corner. Marty?
Well, Matt, Robbie Gordon's had a tight race car for most of the afternoon. Had his career best Pocono finish here in June, finishing 8th. The same race car. He said, I want a little more of what you did for me last time. They have not freed it up yet. Matty?
This is not the day Jamie McMurray needed. Entered the day 13th in the championship standings. Been struggling most of the day. Even bounced off the wall once as the 9 of Kasey Kahne passed by. They made a track bar adjustment and pulled a spring rubber out of the left rear on his last stop. Dave?
Matt, Jimmy Spencer's car was very loose. They made an adjustment last time, and the car was quite a bit better, but he said, I've still got no rear grip, so they made yet another air pressure adjustment for Jimmy on the last stop. 99 car of Jeff Burton. His problem, it's tough anywhere where you've got 4 corners, but even when he got 3, he said, I can't turn. Very unhappy with the way that car is handling now through the turns, Bill.
Dave, for the 18 of Bobby Labonte, first check, he was loose. So they put on 4 tires, added fuel, raised the track bar, made a huge wedge adjustment, and changed the air pressure on the tires. Last update from Bobby Labonte, still loose.
Matt Kenseth just moved into the 24th position. Not been a good day, hasn't been a good weekend. If you just joined us, he's in a backup car after hitting the pit wall during practice. He is still all over the racetrack. He says the car is just sliding, tight and loose.
Matt, the transmission problems on the 88, intermittent. Nothing recently on the 88's transmission, and in the last 2 pit stops, no changes to the chassis, so it's handling pretty well for DJ. Alan?
Developing story on the 8 car. There is a minimum speed, a minimum lap time you must maintain, and right now, the 8 car with John Andretti aboard is not maintaining that minimum time. They're being black flagged by NASCAR for being too slow. Marty?
I think this is where you'll start seeing the experimentation. Andretti got in the car and said, holy cow, what do you have in here? It's so loose, I can't drive it. They've really struggled. They're several laps down now. They'll have to come to pit road and try to get that car faster. But Andretti's setup style, much different than Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s, obviously. And that's one thing that happened by him not getting any practice time when practice was rained out yesterday.
I'll tell you what, that car is really rolling over. I can't believe how much that car rolls.
Filled up with gas and then come to the garage.
This might be a reason why. This was just a couple of laps ago.
Yeah, he's going to adjust it on the racetrack. Normally those adjustments don't work very well.
So John Andretti struggling. Here's another look.
Yeah, he hit that hard, but boy, that car sure does look soft in the right front.
So they brought the 8 car into pit road, and I thought we heard Tony Eury Jr. say we'll change the tires and then take it to the garage because the way NASCAR rules are...
Bring it down to the garage. I'm going to load the sway bar. To them for 2 rear springs. Then you can go back out and drive it.
And if he's going to put 2 rear springs, I would take it bigger.
The way that the rules are, when your car doesn't meet the minimum speed, you only have one chance to try and get it back. You know, he can only come back onto the racetrack once and try and meet that minimum speed before if he doesn't meet it when he comes back, he's got to park, load it up. Jimmie Johnson out in front, coming to complete 200 miles as he crosses the stripe here. Pit stop's coming. We're coming back for him on TNT. Come back live to Pocono Raceway on TNT. Caution is out for the 2nd time in the Pennsylvania 500. Morgan Shepherd apparently losing an engine and dropping oil on the track. Caution, big break for a lot of teams who were less than 10 laps away from having to make a green flag pit stop while the pace car picks up the field. And before pit road is open, let's give you our NASCAR Busch Series update. Mentioned Greg Biffle winning yesterday's race out at Pikes Peak International Raceway in Colorado. Basically, under Busch Series rules, the number of tires you can change on the caution's limited. He had a set left at the end when nobody else did. He blasted through the field and ran away and hid for the victory. Championship standings, Kyle Busch had a tough day. Martin Truex Jr. opened his lead to 142 points. Busch Series at Indianapolis Raceway Park next Saturday night on TNT. Craftsman Truck Series race yesterday at Michigan International Speedway. Toyota's first win in the series will be what the headlines read on the day. Travis Kvapil, congratulations on his victory, and their championship standings look thus. Bobby Hamilton Jr. just 33 points behind Dennis Setzer. They race at Indianapolis Raceway Park on Friday night as the big Indiana Speed Week, if you will, commences surrounding the Brickyard 400.
See Musgrave and Crafton tied for fourth in points.
You're talking about Greg Biffle. We saw him hit the wall a little while ago, racing Kurt Busch for second place. And guess what? He's mad at that wall. He did it again.
Comes off the tunnel corner, and he needed that 30 inches that they've taken away for their safer barriers.
On board with Kurt Busch. He said that's what you call a four-wheel drift. Didn't hurt anything, though.
And Biffle's crew will get a chance to adjust on his car here. He's in fourth place as we get set for the pit road to be opened. While we're waiting for the field to come around to the pit lane, let's check the results of our Singular Wireless Race Talk poll. S is at Watkins Glen with a narrow victory. What do you think, guys?
I would have said B.
I would go for D.
Indianapolis turn 1.
I just think, you know, you drive down the corner 205 miles per hour. That's on him.
Darlington turn 2, tricky.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Pocono is no slouch either over there in the old tunnel turn. And let's see who's a slouch on pit road this time. Jimmie Johnson, Jeff Gordon, Kurt Busch, Greg Biffle, Kasey, Kahne. The top 5 as they come in. Yoakum leads us off.
Jeff Gordon will hit first. On his last stop, they debated whether to pull a spring rubber or go for the track bar. They went for the track bar. This time, they're going to pull a spring rubber out of their right rear, but also make an air pressure adjustment so they don't go too far. The car way too loose everywhere. Marty.
Kurt Busch still just a little bit loose. You see them go down on the track bar, bottom of your screen. 2 rounds trying to tighten that car up just a little bit. They had a great stop last time, putting the rubber in. Nice stop this time, Bill. Johnson too loose. They wanted to tighten him up with air pressure and a track bar adjustment. Jimmie said, no, don't mess with the air pressure, track bar adjustment. He's away at a flash, Dave.
When Kasey Kahne came in, they put a track bar adjustment on the car and made an air pressure adjustment because it was tighter than it was before. They gave the driver ice and water because he was hotter than he was before.
And Jeff Gordon losing some ground on the pit stop again. We heard the call pulling that spring rubber out. We'll get back to that in just a minute. First, let's check back in the garage with Marty.
Well, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has come from his motorhome, and tell me about the decision to get out of the race car, Jr.
Well, the car was real bad, and we was going backwards, and so we had John standing there, and I thought if we was going to make a change, we should make it then. I could have run the rest of the way, but just the car was so bad, there really wasn't no use of me being in there wasting my time, and should be out of the car trying to get better. So hopefully, I think I'll be able to go to next week's race without any problem. And we had a terrible race car today, so it wasn't no use of me being in there flying around in it.
I think the fans want to know, how do you feel?
I felt fine. You know, the bumps hurt a little bit, but my foot was going to sleep. I hadn't been using it a lot. I hadn't been standing on it much, and it just goes to sleep, cramps up real easy. But I don't know. I'm just really disappointed that things are going like they're going. I wish that this thing would heal up a little faster, but you know, it just takes time, I guess.
Emotionally hard to get out of the car real quick?
Depends on how good it was driving. It was driving pretty bad this weekend, last week. I hated more giving it to the guys I was giving it to than to get out of it. Throwing John in there, he had a lap this weekend, and the sway bar bolt was missing, and the car's rolled over and spinning out on him, and just hated for him. Hated to put Martin in that situation last week. The car wasn't that great, but I just didn't really have any business trying to run it, and hopefully we'll come to Indy and be able to get through it.
All right, heal up for Indy. Wally, that's the answer to your question. The bolt broke on the sway bar arm. That's why the car was so bad.
And it sure looked like that because the cars don't roll over that much, especially here at Pocono, so you can tell something was definitely up.
Pit crews did their thing. Jimmie Johnson's team holding serve on the caution flag stops. TNT Sports live at Pocono Raceway, Long Pond, Pennsylvania, with the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series, Pennsylvania 500. Last weekend's race in New Hampshire, Kurt Busch's crew spent the least amount of time on pit road among eligible teams, picked up the $20,000 first prize in the McDonald's Drive-Thru Pit Crew Championship, fueled by Powerade. You see the season-long standings. Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s team still on top in the chase for the $200,000 top prize. Cleanup still going on after Morgan Shepherd's car dropped some oil, so it's going to be a little while before we go back to green. Jimmie Johnson was first off of pit road, though a couple of guys did not stop. Still, Johnson's been the man today, telling the competition, come on, I'll take you on. At Pocono Raceway, NASCAR on TNT with live coverage of the Pennsylvania 500 just across the 200-mile mark on the day and approaching the midway mark of the race. Jimmie Johnson is the race leader. Johnson has led 46 of the 86 laps that have been completed. He's got Kurt Busch, Elliott Sadler, Greg Biffle, and Mark Martin chasing him to the green flag on this restart.
There you see the restart line on the racetrack. That area is where the driver is able to accelerate and try to leave the cars behind them. But that very seldom works too well.
First car on the inside is Brendan Gaughan, who would have been the lucky dog at that last caution, but he came down pit road with the leaders instead of staying out like he was supposed to for a lap, and so he did not get the lucky dog pass and is now trying to get himself back on the lead lap again. He's back in 32nd place. And you see Jeff Gordon making moves back in traffic.
Once again, Jeff Gordon was running in the second position. On the pit stop, had to change a spring rubber. Got him back in traffic. Tony Stewart goes by him on the outside. Jeff's trying, and goes by Kasey Kahne. Here's Mark Martin. I guess that's Kasey Kahne trying to go by these guys on the outside. Look at Kasey Kahne go.
Wow, that was pretty impressive.
Yes, it was.
Hard to do on the outside of turn 3. I thought he was going to lose about 5 or 6 spots there.
So Kasey Kahne and Tony Stewart racing for position here. This will be for 5th and 6th. Marty?
Stewart looks pretty sporty right now, doesn't he, Alan? But the car's been loose for most of the day. One round down on the track bar last time. Half pound into the right front, half pound out of the or into the right rear as well. So trying to tighten that car up for Stewart. Dave?
Casey might have some extra motivation there to make these moves on the outside. He thought he was ahead of a couple of cars, or at least one car, the 25, on pit lane. So he disagreed with that call and said, pass him on the track. Bill?
Mark Martin, 17 top 5 finishes. He's never won at this track, but he has won in this car earlier this year at Dover. And he's working pretty hard in that car today. Here was his communication just a few moments ago.
It's loose in, loose off, driving my brains out trying to pass with a tail just slapping all over the place. But you're doing an awesome job, man. Hopefully this wage will pick you up.
And they continue to tell Mark throughout the day that he's driving an awesome race. They did tighten him up with a wedge adjustment. Let's go further down pit road to Matt.
The guy filling Mark Martin's smear is Brian Vickers. His team, to try to help Brian get that race car through the center of the corner, an air pressure adjustment to try to put that car back to where it was when the race started. They also went down 2 rounds on the right side.
Saw the leaders, kind of this group of leaders, bottled up in some lap traffic when Scott Wimmer and Ryan Newman were racing side by side. Wimmer in the 22, by the way. I need to go back and just clear up his situation a little while ago. We talked about when he spun out and brought out the caution flag with the flat tire back at lap 52. NASCAR said he did not belong passing the pace car like we thought he was okay to do, so that's my bad. And Wimmer was not only put back the lap down that he lost in the spin, but he was penalized a lap for passing the pace car, and he's back in 35th place, 2 laps down.
Well, darn the luck. Those guys cannot. They won't take a joke, will they?
Mark Martin, Kasey Kahne, 6 and 9, racing for 6th place. And Jeff Gordon trying to move back up through and make up the ground he gave up for the chassis adjustment on the pit stop.
Matt, I'll tell you what, that 24 car still looks very good to me.
Very fast race car, but trouble on his 2 stops. You restarted 10th and 11th after your first 2 stops, Robbie. What's wrong with the race car? Is the chain broken?
Well, the car's been extremely loose all day. That last stop, we had to get a rubber out of the right rear. Couldn't really tell the last stop. It looked like something might be going on with the chain on the left side. Have to look at the next stop to do something.
Now, the chain they're talking about is a limiter chain, so that way when Jackman Jeff Cook jacks up the car, he only has to do it in 2 pumps, so it helps also raise up that rear tire. But with that chain possibly broken, he has to do at least 1, maybe 2 more pumps. That's valuable time here on pit road.
He was loose there. Jeff Gordon in turn 1.
Yeah, they use a chain in the car. If you go out and take one of these race cars and you jack it up without that chain in place, you've got to jack the side of that car up an awfully long way off the ground before the tire clears the ground enough to change it. Like when you go out to change the tire on your passenger car. They put a chain from the rear end housing up to the frame of the car that limits that travel. It shouldn't, if it's done right, affect the performance of the car on the racetrack, but it does help make the pit stops happen more quickly.
It sounds like that the chain is broken on the left rear of Jeff Gordon's car, letting that left rear drop down too much and having to, as you said, normally pump the jack 1 or 2 times, it would be off the ground. It looks like now it's 3 or 4 times, and that's going to take a couple of extra seconds on a pit stop.
Stewart hitting some debris on the racetrack, we hear. Let's take a look, see what we can see.
Looks like the can. Here it comes.
That's not good.
He just kind of knocked it out of the way. Hopefully it was empty.
He recycled it back to the side of the racetrack.
Shouldn't make too much damage. Shouldn't do too much damage if it was empty.
By the way, Michael Waltrip with some smoke showing from his car. He's last on the lead lap, back in 31st position. But came onto pit road after staying out under the last caution to lead a lap and collect 5 bonus points for the championship. And Michael well off the pace and is 35 seconds behind the leader, Jimmie Johnson. Coming up on halfway in the Pennsylvania 500 at Pocono, Johnson leading Kurt Busch by 1.7 seconds. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. On TNT live at Pocono Raceway, just about the halfway of the Pennsylvania 500, a race dominated so far by Jimmie Johnson. He's led 56 of the 96 laps that have been completed so far. Johnson, one of the Gillette Young Guns. The first micro-power shaving system from Gillette is the new M3 Power, the power behind the Gillette Young Guns. We tracked their progress today. Did you know that the Gillette Young Guns have won 11 of the 19 races so far this season?
And just think how many laps he could have led if he hadn't started 14. Had to work his way through from his starting spot to get to the front.
So Johnson leading. There are 31 cars on the lead lap. And we continue to follow this race for the chase as that focus in on that number 10 spot. The drivers that'll make the chase for the Nextel Cup Championship over those final 10 races. 7 to go, including today. Ryan Newman struggling in this race. He's back in 35th place.
Getting tighter every time we look at it.
Jeremy Mayfield just 43 back at 10th. Kasey Kahne has moved up to 85. And Dale Jarrett is not having a good day. He's fallen back 2 spots, but he's still only 97 points out of 10th, and Mark Martin only 100.
We're watching Elliott Sadler while we talk about this. Elliott is running in 3rd place. He came into this race today in 8th place in the championship, and that whole glob of drivers all bunched tightly together from 6th to 10th. And Elliott told us earlier that he's very focused on protecting his spot in that top 10.
We're not really worried at all what the 48 and the 8 and those guys are doing. We're not really racing them right now. I mean, we're pretty much racing the 29 and the 12 and the 97, the 18 and the 42 and people like that. And it's really close from 6th to 13th in points, and we're just trying to log all the laps we can, get all the points we can, and kind of go from there. So we're being conservative at some tracks, or some tracks we're letting it go, but we're just trying to want to make it through these last 7 races and be as consistent as we've been all year, and hopefully have something to show for it.
And as they run on the track right now, Elliott Sadler would show in 7th position. He'd move up a spot today. And you see the gap from himself up to the leader, Jimmie Johnson. And Sadler, my calculation, would be about 172 points ahead of 11th place right now. That's not a lot.
No. He's looking over his shoulder. Like you said, they're not going to change the way they race, you know, because they're not worried about racing the guys in front of them, but they're just looking at the guys behind them. And got caution for debris in turn 1.
Yellow, debris in turn 1 in the groove. Got a yellow, no threat.
And they
black flag, Michael Waltrip.
Yeah, he's kind of starting to fog it up a little bit there. That's not a good sign there out the back bumper. So tough day for Michael, who was one of those drivers hanging in on the fringes.
See all the smoke in there.
I'm on the way back to the pits. I'm telling them we're just going to stay out and lead a lap and then go.
So Slugger said, tell NASCAR, I'm going to stay out and just lead a lap. So we realize we've been black flagged. We're going to work on it.
Michael, 238 points from 10th coming into this race, having had 7 top 10 finishes in the last 9 races. You see, he's moved up steadily over the course of the season after that dreadful start to 2004 they had.
Phenomenal what this team has been able to do the last dozen races or so, but this is not going to help.
It's been talk about an up and down year. Look at these guys.
And opportunity missed. I mean, Ryan Newman is having troubles today, the 10th place driver. An opportunity to really knock a chunk of points off that deficit. Doesn't look like it's going to work out, at least for Michael. So third caution on the day. Here's Ryan Newman, not enjoying his day in the office.
No. Couple laps down already.
Who's our lucky dog on this one? Brendan gone?
Yeah, and Brendan, my advice, don't pit too soon.
Yeah, stay out. Let the leaders pit. Come in later. So Ryan Newman trying to protect his spot in the race to the chase. And they've run so well at this racetrack with this race car at other places. They've really got to be frustrated and mystified at how today's going for them.
Well, it is. This is very surprising.
Not too good.
I don't think they'll be bringing this car to Indy next week.
As a matter of fact, they probably would call someone, if they were planning on using this car, they probably already made the call back to the shop, get car X or Z ready, because we're not taking this one.
16 laps since the leaders last pitted. They stop again?
Oh, yeah, here they all come. And Brendan did not pit. Attaboy.
Let's see if Jeff Gordon can gain spots on this pit stop. He's given up some spots the last couple of times, once to an adjustment, once to a jack problem. Marty?
Alan, more dramatic changes planned for Kurt Busch. Car still loose into 1, loose into 3, and off of 3. Kurt said it's a weird race car. Pound out of the left front, pound out of the right rear, pound into the right front tire, and they were talking about a wedge adjustment, decided not to do it. Dave?
Bottom of the screen, Kasey King gives up 5th position, a chassis adjustment and air pressure. Still a little tight all around the racetrack. Schrader stops in front of him. Much cleaner exit for him. Bill?
Jimmie Johnson in the 48 is just a little free, but pretty good. At the beginning of a run, he's loose into 1. Then he ends up being loose into 3. He made an air pressure adjustment on the front and rear tire.
Service has already been completed on Jeff Gordon's Chevrolet. They pulled a spring rubber out of the right rear on his previous stop. He says that has killed the race car, especially stuck back in traffic. So they pulled a spring rubber out of the left rear this time to try to free the race car up. He says just way too tight.
I'm going to need some help with this one.
Boy, I guess.
Going to have to send the pit guys scurrying because I think about half the field got just 2 tires there, and the running order's really been jumbled up.
Kasey Mears is the first car off, then Brian Vickers. And again, we haven't seen these guys for the last few laps. Jeremy Mayfield, the 29, 42, 10, 17, 48, and then 97, the cars that changed 4 tires. Feels, yeah, they're going to lose about 10 spots.
So we'll send the pit boys to work to confirm the strategy for us, and we'll completely report it to you when we come back on the other side of the break. Robbie Gordon's team going to work.
Tire changer. Iron Joe Hussey. Attaboy, Iron Joe, around the left front.
The whole
Come on, throw the tire on. Let's go.
5 on, 5 off. Back to Pocono in a minute. Nice job. NASCAR on TNT from Pocono Raceway in Pennsylvania. Dale Jarrett is the leader. He has not visited pit road under this caution. Jarrett, one of the bubble drivers in the race to the chase, looking to collect 5 bonus points for leading a lap, which he has done. And now he'll come in for his service.
And one other thing, that he may stay on the racetrack because he could make it on one more stop. Maybe. Marty?
Yes, maybe. BP, Dale Jarrett, of course, another one of those Ford teams. And it was a big week for the Ford Nextel Cup teams. The big boss himself came by to pay a surprise visit, and that is the subject of this week's Ford Built Tough moment. And I don't mean BP when I'm talking about the big boss. Edsel Ford himself, an impromptu move, came into town for an interview, decided to stop by and visit all of the Ford teams. You see him with Robert Yates and Doug Yates, kind of visiting the Yates shops. Also went to Roush, went to the Wood Brothers shop. Said it was about the first time in 30 years he had seen that many race cars in one day and toured that many shops. And he signed Ricky Rudd's hood for good luck. You can win the truck that you see right there. Log on to the website at the bottom of the screen for a chance to win. You'll have to log on early because I know Wally logs on often trying to win that truck. Isn't that right, Riley?
I would. I like that truck. Cleanup continues here at Pocono. We'll take a break and come back. We come back live as the green flag flies here in the Pennsylvania 500 at Pocono Raceway just past midway, and the strategy has shuffled the running order. The guy who led the field to the green the first time, Kasey Mears, he's back out in front. Just 2 tires on his pit stop. The other guys who got 2 tires, Brian Vickers, Jeremy Mayfield, Rusty Wallace, Kevin Harvick, Jamie McMurray, Scott Riggs, and Matt Kenseth. They're back through the 8th position. Then you get Jimmie Johnson, the dominator on the day. He's running 9th now. We see a challenge for the lead in turn 2.
Oh, easy, boys. Man, oh, man. Bill, what were the 41 guys thinking with this pit stop?
That their car had become so good, Benny, that maybe they could go ahead and make 2 and keep the lead. Right now, the battle side by side with the 25. But in the last 20 to 25 laps, that 41 car has gotten a lot better. Right now, looks like he's going to give up the lead, just like he did on the opening lap of the race. But coming back.
I don't know, Bill. Don't talk so fast. Great battle down in turn 1 for the lead.
You see Jimmie Johnson trying to weave in and out of traffic a little farther back, too.
A little blocking back there by Jamie McMurray in the 42 car.
Side by side for the lead.
Ooh, high line was fast. Got a little loose there. Kasey did. 41 car.
We mentioned that Jeff Gordon stopped before the caution finished and topped off his fuel, and Dale Jarrett has just gone to the garage. 12th place driver in the championship. What was it you said at the top of the show, VP?
Mechanical woes. So I think that just puts the end to his battle for the top 10 in the chase for the championship.
He's pulled in behind the wall, behind his pit stall. We'll get a report on what's happened to Dale Jarrett in a minute. So just to finish up on Jeff Gordon, he took the restart back in 30th place, topping off the fuel with 98 laps to go. What are they thinking?
Yeah, exactly.
One more stop time.
You think they could run?
Well,
48 laps?
Long way to go.
They must think they can.
Man.
They wouldn't have given up all that track position if they didn't think they could do it.
I'll bet Matt's going to tell us more on their thinking here. Matt.
Come on, Matt, tell me.
Came back in the top off. They feel like they're very questionable on the whole fuel issue, but also Steve Letarte crawled underneath the back of the car. The chain broke where the bolt goes into the bracket, so that chain is indeed broken on the left side. They're just going to have to live with that for the rest of the day.
Okay, so was the second stop to top off the fuel, Matt, or was it just to check on the mechanical situation?
Still debating on the whole fuel issue, Alan.
Okay. We'll keep an eye on what's going on with Jeff Gordon. Meantime, Michael Waltrip is back in the garage. Let's hear from him.
Meantime, Alan, lots of things happening here at Pocono. Mikey, this is not one you needed, being 16th in points. What happened?
Something started going wrong under the hood, and finally smoked it up where NASCAR decided we should park the Napa Auto Parts, Klausner Furniture, Coca-Cola, Best Western, Domino's, Oreo, Cookies, Chevrolet, and I needed to get all that in when I was here in June, and I exited this race prematurely. I sounded like a 2-year-old over getting wrecked, and not the way I am. I was really upset that day, but when stuff breaks on the car that these guys work so hard to make sure is perfect, you know, a part just failed. Not a Napa part, but like a part that you can't get from Napa.
All right, Mikey, this team had been on a roll, 7 top 10s in their last 9 races. They won't have one today.
He got himself out of that, didn't he?
He did.
That was a close call with Ford Burton in the middle of his pile, huh? Woo! 0 car.
Lift. That's the best thing when you're in the middle.
You lift back off the throttle. We've got a lot of really, really good cars back in the middle of the pack. Here's a couple of them.
This is Kurt Busch in the 97 trying to take 12th place away from Kasey Kahne. 3 wide, Tony Stewart.
And when you're in the middle,
lift.
You lift.
Kurt Busch did wisely. He lifted.
Oh, the crossover.
Here we go.
Not quite.
Oh, look out trouble. Stewart's in the wall. Kahne is into Stewart, and the field scatters around Tony's spinning car.
And Stewart, I believe, got loose because of the crossover. Like he came back across him, maybe. Got the air off the spoiler. Not very happy.
Racing for 13th place. 12th and 13th places. Tony Stewart, Kasey Kahne,
And they were kind of...
and Kurt Busch. What?
It always happens that way, doesn't it?
It always happens, though.
Let's see what happened in Chicago.
Well, this is not... Here's what happened in Chicago. We got to go back this on a restart, and that's what caused all the hullabaloo up there. Had a fight down in the pit area. There we see the scuffle going on in the pit area. Tony Stewart goes on to win the race.
It's not going to work out as well for Tony this time. He is not going to be as happy exiting his race car as he and Kurt Busch and Kasey Kahne racing for a spot. It looked like when Kurt tried the crossover.
Tony said, I'm okay. Let's see.
You know, the cars are on the edge right here anyway, and it's really easy to take the air off the spoiler, but we'll watch what happens. See Kurt underneath. Can he get into the back of him?
Yeah.
No, I don't think he touched him. I don't think he touched him. I think Kurt just got him arrow loose. Like I said, you're turning the car there, and when you have a car that close to you, you're taking the air off the spoiler, or the guy's taking the air off the spoiler. I don't think Kurt made contact. And I'm sure Tony probably, it felt like that to him. But that angle?
If he didn't, he was as close as he could possibly be.
Tony was already loose getting off the corner. And when you get a car that much closer, there's no, it's just like lifting the rear of the car up off the racetrack, and that's what happened to Tony.
And I think that Wally's correct. I don't think that Kurt Busch touched him as he exited that corner.
So Tony out of his car, and no doubt not happy after crashing out of the race. Meantime, pit road will be open this time when the leaders come by. Yep. Tony, fourth in the championship standings.
Okay, we see the 97 car, and he pulls up right behind him.
See, the 20's already loose.
Looks like he was going around, yeah.
I take great. Kasey
and
got
there, Kasey got in the back of him after he came off the wall. If we can tell anything on board to Kurt Busch or not, but we ought to try.
This is probably going to be a pretty good angle.
Since we have a camera.
Watch here.
They're all around right there. You got the 9.
Never touched
outside.
him.
Watch the 20 clear low. Come on, come on. They're all around. Good job. Good job. Caution's out. He didn't touch your right side, did he?
Well, some of the front runners pit here. Matt?
Jeff Gordon's game plan, do the opposite of the leaders. They made a wedge adjustment. The car way too tight in the tunnel turn and in turn 3. Dave?
Going to work on the 9 car of Kasey Kahne, working on the front end damage, have a big piece of metal to put on the front, perhaps. They said just fuel it this time, as well as fix the damage. I'll worry about the rest later. Bill?
Bobby Labonte on pit road, chassis adjustment, 4 tires, fuel. He goes back out, follows the guys also on pit road, still struggling to make that 18 car a little bit tighter. Now we begin to think about fuel even more for that 24 and some of these other guys, because now we're just at 91 laps to go.
Now I think they can make it.
And they might, obviously they're in a situation they're going to try to make it on one more stop.
Still fixing the 9 car, Dave.
Yeah, there, Alan. He had one of the fastest cars here today, also running in the top 10 in the chase for the championship. So, or actually, where is he running in the chase for the championship coming in today? Thank you. Out of the top 10 is what I meant to say. On pit road today, he is separated by 4 pit stalls from Tony Stewart. Yet every time he's come on pit road, the crew has let him know where the 20 car is on pit road. They've been very careful to be aware of where the 20 is all day today, guys.
Well, 20 car was his issue today, but not directly. Tony getting loose racing there with Kurt and Kasey.
They just put a whole new big plastic piece.
That is amazing.
That is a good idea.
I'm telling you, it's amazing what these guys have in the pit area to try to repair these cars. My hat's off to Evernham and Tommy Baldwin and this entire crew. Now the record's got to be stuck.
Oh, no. So caution is out in the Pennsylvania 500 for the 4th time. Well, the race for position is back off with turn number 1. Tony Stewart got the tough end of the deal.
Under caution in the Pennsylvania 500 at Pocono Raceway on TNT. Tony Stewart's car being towed back to the garage area where Greg Zipadelli and team will look at it and see if it can be repaired. Here's what happened.
He goes underneath the 97 of Kurt Busch, gets by he and Kasey Kahne. He gets down in turn 1, and they start coming off the corner. Now, Tony either gets loose, something, he starts slowing down. These guys get on either side of him. And I agree with Wally right there. Tony just got the car loose off the corner, and when he tried to catch it, he goes back in the outside retaining wall. Ooh, Jeff Gordon just barely got by.
Close. Let's see what Joe Nemechek saw. See smoke? Whoa! Threads the needle. Oh, this is skips a trout. And moves on.
So Stewart to the garage area. Joining Michael Waltrip, Morgan Shepherd, Todd Bodine, Carl Long, Jason Jarrett, Kirk Shelmerdine, Greg Sachs, and P.J. Jones, who've all gone back to the garage. We talked about Kurt Busch and his part in this. Here's what he said on his team's radio just a minute ago.
Oh, we're okay. He just slid up in front of me and stayed loose. Forward, that's what happened. That's what I saw.
That would be his view on things.
That's what we saw.
Yeah.
Yet, Kurt's nose being right up there close to Tony's back bumper, the air.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's like lifting the rear of Tony Stewart's car.
We saw Jeff Gordon just barely get through the accident a minute ago. Here's what Robbie Loomis did when he just barely squeezed through.
Oh, I got a headache.
Hey, he could have had a much bigger headache than he had. Wow.
Okay, coming to the green. Kasey Kahne was the first driver to pit. He was 14th on back. Most of the leaders stayed out. And by the way, on the last pit stop, Elliott Sadler had a pit violation. They left the tire on the outside half of the pit box. He went to the tail end of the longest line. Did not pit on this caution, so Sadler's back up to 16th place.
He's going to take a look at the lead. Vickers down on the inside. Can't pull it off.
Tell you what, that high line is really working well.
You see Jeremy Mayfield slide across a couple lanes there into the corner. Jimmie Johnson, Kevin Harvick trying to come out of the traffic.
Wow.
Jimmy, got a lift.
Got a lift, Jimmy. Ease off. There you go.
All right, let's hear from Tony Stewart. Marty's with him.
Well, Alan, Tony had a fast but loose race car. What happened?
It just got real loose and spun, correct. You know, it was running real close with Kasey and somebody else that was on the inside of us we'd just passed. So it's just, it's hard. I mean, it's just racing out there. I mean, it was fun. I mean, it's fun racing those guys like that today. Everybody's being pretty courteous to each other, but racing each other hard. So it's just good fun racing today.
The good thing they did not plan to take this car to Indianapolis. That certainly helps a little bit, Wally.
Yeah, that definitely. Because they'd be scrambling.
For the lead, Brian Vickers working on Kasey Mears.
Vickers just can't stay down on that low line down in turn 1. It's so bumpy. His car really shoots up the racetrack, so he tried a little bit higher approach, and he stayed with the 41 car at least this time.
Vickers in the 25 must feel like he's much faster than the 41. Otherwise, he would just kind of settle back and start following. He keeps insisting on getting by, so evidently he feels like the 41 is holding him up.
We've had so much happening here in the last little while of the race. Let me mention Dale Jarrett has come back onto the racetrack. We will get a report on what happened to him. In fact, Dave has that for us right now.
Yep, Alan, they went behind the wall. It took them just about the time they pitted was lap 103 or 105. They stopped, changed out the whole transmission. Dale saved the car the whole time, and he's back on track. The big problem was third gear. That's the one he had trouble. When he went into turn 1, he would have trouble with third gear.
So transmission troubles hurting Dale Jarrett's chances in the race to the chase. Also, John Andretti is back on track in the 8 car and is meeting minimum speed. And he's out running now in 34th place, 7 laps down, the race leader in relief of Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Yeah, I'm sure hooking that front sway bar up helped a lot.
As a matter of fact, it picked him up about 6 seconds. Watching the scoring monitor now versus when the NASCAR black flagging, 6 seconds different in their lap time.
And this is the race for the lead we're watching. Kasey Mears and Brian Vickers got their track position by taking 2 tires on their pit stops at lap number 100. Jimmie Johnson, the dominant car, took 4. He restarted back in 10th place, and he's picked his way back up now to 3rd and is in pursuit of these top 2.
And he will get them. I mean, he is running right now 2/3 of a second quicker than the guys on 2 tires, so it's just a matter of time.
Vickers trying to hold that car low off that first corner and see if he can get under Kasey, but he just can't make it happen. Bill, how about Kasey Mears?
Very impressed with his run here. And Benny, remember that 41 car at Chicagoland Speedway? It was really fast, worked his way into the top 10, then they got that debris on the front, started overheating, they had to come in, they lost a lap, but he was up front, still running with the leaders, how fast he was.
I remember that.
Yeah, it's very similar. That's the exact same car. Car started up front today, went backwards, they worked on it, even when they took 4 tires 2 stops ago, the car was very good. Mears was very happy. This time, just 2 tires to keep him up front. That car is good. Driver's pretty happy now.
And Wally, we see why he was trying to keep the 25 car behind him. He's in fact much faster than the 25.
Yes. Looks like the car came in. Tires are got the pressures up, got some heat in them, and he's in that clean air.
Yeah, you're exactly. Yeah, sorry, Benny, you're exactly right, Wally. That car does come to him after they get going. You watch these restarts, the 25 is right there, but if Kasey can hold him off, once he gets out front, that car really starts to take off for him.
Yeah, you can see he was a little bit defensive there, but sometimes that's what you have to do. If you know your car is going to come in, you can mirror drive a little bit.
You got to fight for your turf, don't you?
Right. Kasey Mears started on pole, did not lead the first lap, did not lead again until he took those 2 tires at lap 102. But the 26-year-old from Bakersfield, California, in search of his first NASCAR Nextel Cup Series win, is out in front as we close in on the 300-mile mark of the Pennsylvania 500. Pennsylvania 500 hits 300 miles at Pocono Raceway. The caution flag is out for a 5th time. Debris on the track, turn 3. And the field will slow behind the pace car once again. We had a lead change while we were away in the break. Jimmie Johnson blasted his way around both Brian Vickers for 2nd and Kasey Mears for 1st.
And when he says blasted, I think that's probably good phrase.
What does it Martin likes to say on the TNT basketball broadcasts? With authority?
With authority.
Got it done.
And with more grip, that helps a little bit. 4 tires.
All right, now then we're at lap 120.
Oh, boy.
Everybody has to pit that didn't pit the last time, get to 4 tires, and get ready for that next, to make the rest of the way.
80 laps to go, and the teams will put as much Sunoco gasoline as they can into the tanks, and then the calculators will be smoking while they try and figure out if they can make it to the finish.
Oh, you know, I was wondering earlier in the week how many folks from Sunoco would be here today, because, you know, their headquarters is down in Philadelphia.
North Philadelphia, yep.
80, 90 miles from here.
Yeah, plenty, I think, would be the answer.
Yeah, plenty.
Well, it will be interesting to see. I mean, we're 80 laps from the finish.
I think you come in, you put 4 on, just in case you come in later. You in the race, you just put 2 on.
2, there you go. There you go.
Okay, well, we'll find out. Jimmie Johnson leading, Kasey Mears 2nd, Brian Vickers 3rd, Jeremy Mayfield 4th, and Kevin Harvick 5th, followed by Greg Biffle, Jamie McMurray, Rusty Wallace, Matt Kenseth, and Mark Martin. Jeff Gordon is 11, and remember, he's given up track position 3 different times today to go back into the field for chassis adjustments. One time a problem on a pit stop, one time a repair of a mechanical problem.
No, he still has that problem. He still has the chain broken on the left rear, so his pit stop, once again, is going to be a little slower than normal. Probably about 2 seconds, because they got to jack up about 4 pumps on the left side rather than the normal 1.
Well, here they come to the opening of pit road.
Oh, yeah, all of them come down pit road.
Yeah, I would think so. Stops are going to come at lap 121. That was Ryan Newman, by the way, not on the lead lap, that made the right turn and stayed on the racetrack. And here they go. Matt?
And Brian Vickers back on lap 99 took 2 tires. Going to go 4 tires in this stop. Going to make a track bar adjustment. The car still way too tight in the 25 car. Marty.
Kevin Harvick took 2 tires last time. Matt will be 4 tires this time. Car's just a little bit tight. Half pound out of the right front tire. Except when the 48 went by, he blew our doors off. Bill?
Chad Knaus, crew chief for Johnson's 48, said get that fuel cell full. Just a very minor inner liner air pressure adjustment for Jimmie Johnson. Car just doesn't have the grip on the front end that he wants. He's away for today.
Scott
Briggs hasn't been on pit road since the debris caution on lap 98. Then he came down then and only took 2 tires. They put 4 on this time because the car went very, very tight. Made a wedge adjustment as well. There's a gas can on pit lane, guys.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not where that Sunoco gasoline's supposed to be.
No.
And we hear it is from Jimmy Spencer's car, so he will be coming back for a penalty visit to pit road.
Once again, leaving your pit box with equipment.
Can't do that.
Can't do that.
Did I see the 24 take 2?
I saw the 24 take no tires. Matt, you agree?
I agree. The 24, no tires. Remember, they took 4 tires in their last stop. The only concern Jeff had was that he might have flat spotted that left front tire in a tunnel turn. They took a look at it. It looked good. The car was very strong on that last run.
I also saw Ward Burton and Jeff Burton take just right side tires. More on the strategy and how we look from here to the finish when TNT returns to Pocono. Getting ready for a restart here at Pocono Raceway, the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series on TNT. And here's another one that I'm going to have to explain to you here. Give me just a second. Dave Blaney is the leader. Did not pit under this caution here. He's having some mechanical issues with the 30 car, possibly a transmission in trouble. The 12 car, Ryan Newman, is almost 2 laps down. He's 1 in 99.99 laps down. And since he just lined up in the outside lane in the restart, we'll see if that gets him in trouble. Second place, Jeremy Mayfield, fuel only. Jeff Gordon, third place, fuel only. Then a bunch of guys that got just right side tires. Mark Martin, Ward Burton, Elliott Sadler, Bobby Labonte, right side tires on those cars. Then Kasey Mears with 4 tires back in 8th place on this restart.
Here comes Jeff Gordon, goes into the second position, goes by Mayfield, and he'll make short work of this 30 car. And he says, see you, Blaney.
I can't believe the 12 car started out there.
He's coming in for a pass-through penalty right now.
I was just wondering, did I miss something?
I think they were confused as to whether they were going to be on the tail end of the lead lap or a lap and almost 2 down. If they were, the confusion's going to cost them a little pass-through penalty.
Yeah.
So, Jeff Gordon, who has had a fast race car for a lot of this race and spent a lot of his time digging out of holes after visits to pit road for a variety of reasons, is now the leader.
Does get the black flag. That time by.
Yep, Newman in 31st, Dale Jarrett in 32nd, 7 laps down. And here's a race for second place behind Jeff Gordon. Jeremy Mayfield in the 19 had a nose under Dave Blaney. And you see Mark Martin joining in the fun. Mark in 4th in the 6 car.
He takes a look. Not quite enough.
Wow.
Tell you what. Here comes Elliott Sadler, that 38 car. Now Mark gets a great run off that tunnel corner and blasted by Jeremy Mayfield. Just drives right by. Now Ward says, okay, the door's open. I'm going to try to get through it.
Nice run today for Ward in that 0 car. He started back in 27th place. They had moved up to about 11th before playing the strategy game to get a little more track position toward the front of the pack. And you see Brian Newman on pit road for his pass-through penalty. He has to come onto pit road, drive its full length at pit road speed, and then go back off. He doesn't have to stop at his pit box.
As we see the 0 car trying to get by Blaney, Ward Burton. I talked to Billy Engel this morning, the crew chief on the 0 car, and he said since he has taken over the crew chief role, he's leaning on setting this car up a great deal more like the Hendrick cars, because after all, they have a relationship with Hendrick Motorsports. They get their engines from Rick Hendrick. They get their chassis, their cars, everything. So he's leaning more towards the setup that a 24 car or 48 car would run.
That'd be a good idea, wouldn't it? Considering those 2 cars are pretty fast right now.
Bobby Labonte starting to make some moves in the 18 car. He's working on Elliott Sadler for 6th place. Remember back in the June race here for Bobby, he had an oil line come loose on the car, like at lap 120, made 4 pit stops to repair it, came all the way back through the field to finish 3rd.
And 3 wide. Labonte makes the pass on Elliott Sadler.
And Jimmie Johnson gets them both.
Yeah, he gets passed at the same time.
Jimmie Johnson, I mean, that car works on the bottom of turn 1 like no other car here, except maybe the 24.
Now Johnson on Dave Blaney. This will be for 5th place.
And the door's open, so Bob and Bonnie says, I think I'll just go on in while it's open. Elliott Sadler as well.
He may make a 3 wide here.
He's trying. And what's Bobby got to do?
He's got to lift.
There you go.
Blaney's the one that's got to lift. Trouble, turn 3 behind these drivers. Jeff Burton, hard crash. There's somebody else involved, too.
To the right rear spring.
Brendan gone.
Brendan gone, and one more.
Easy.
I guess those are the only 2.
Boy, that right rear was really shoved up in that race car.
Yeah. Dave?
Guys, Jeff Burton already talked to his crew. They asked him if he was all right, and he sighed and said, yeah, I'm all right.
New addition here at Pocono Raceway for this race, the safer barrier. They had it down in turn 1 last race, and they got it up into turns 2 and 3 for this race, and I'm sure Jeff Burton's glad of it after this.
Very bottom of the screen, we saw Jeff Burton trying to get alongside the 29 car of Kevin Harvick. Wow. It goes up and just pounds the wall.
And Labonte and McMurray got underneath it.
Brendan chose the high side. That just didn't work out.
Here's going to be a great view of what happened right here.
That was McMurray, not Harvick.
Oh, it was McMurray. I'm sorry. I saw the...
And what Jeff did, he turned down the racetrack to avoid from getting hit. And you're already loose going into turn 3, so spun out.
Nice job by Kurt Busch to miss the wreck. That's who we were riding on board with there.
Yeah, Jeff, don't look at that.
So caution is out for a 6th time in the Pennsylvania 500. Good to see Jeff Burton walking away from the car, and again, well, I'm sure he's glad to see that safer barrier in place after this.
Boy, Kurt Busch.
Man, that is a great save by Kurt Busch.
Unbelievable. And Brendan was okay till Jeff Burton in the 99 came back up the hill and kind of forced him up against the outside retaining wall.
And the damage to the 77.
You know, I talked to some folks about that safer barrier. We see it there. And I was told it reduces the impact about 40%.
Pit road's open. So who's stopping? Jeff Gordon didn't make the commitment line. Elliott Sadler does. Dave Blaney's in. A little indecision on the part of the 24 team, perhaps. Go ahead, Marty.
Remember, Elliott Sadler took 2 tires last time. This will be fuel only. That gets them in their window to pit one more time. That is the theory. Kurt Busch has had an extremely tight race car, made a nice move, as you guys talked about, to avoid the accident on the racetrack. Jimmy Finning said he's bringing a different car here this time and a different package because they weren't good enough to win the race. So drastic changes here on this stop. Rubber, spring rubber out of the left rear, a spring rubber into the right rear. Bill?
Dave Blaney heading off of pit road, gave up great track position, took 4 tires and fuel, gets him in a fuel window, but his car is hopping out of 3rd gear.
These guys are taking 4 tires right now, only have to come in for a splash of gas later if they have to.
Cleanup continues in turn 3, where Jeff Burton has crashed to bring out the caution flag in the Pennsylvania 500. We'll be back. Got a new leader in the Pennsylvania 500 here at Pocono Raceway with 71 laps to go. It's Mark Martin.
And he didn't have to do anything for it.
No, Jeff Gordon did not pit, but in the confusion over whether or not he would pit, he lost a couple of spots. We'll show you how.
He said, okay, do I pit? I think I'll go to pit road. Oh, maybe not.
And under the rules of you must maintain your pace under the caution flag, Mark Martin and Ward Burton had gone by Jeff Gordon while he went over and then came back. So Jeff got put back in line by NASCAR in 3rd. Mark watched that all unfold from the cockpit.
There's a lot of faking going on there, but I think we did the right thing. How far? The 24 ended up coming, didn't he? Yeah. No!
That was when Jeff started to drive up back by Mark to try to go back to the lead, and then NASCAR officials put him back to 3rd, Matt.
No fake out by Jeff Gordon. That was actually their game plan. If it looked like the cars behind were going to pit, Ron Thiel and Jeff saw the cars start to peel off to the inside. That's why Jeff made his move. Ron Thiel, a spotter, then yelled on the radio, no pit, no pit. And then Jeff tried to pull back on, but the 6 and the 0 had already made their move. He will restart in 3rd.
So the cleanup continues here with Mark Martin, the new leader. How about we go inside the field? Thank you for for some stories from some drivers that we might not normally get a chance to bring you. Bill, you got it?
Exactly right, Alan. Throughout the day, we try and take you through the field to show you where the guys in the top 20, top 25, or today the top 30 plus were running. Now we want to take you inside the field, talk about some of the other teams working just as hard, but not quite as far up front. Dave Blaney was up front. Last week, a disappointing finish at New Hampshire. Why? Because this $10 cable that connects the battery to the alternator failed. So a $10 part cost him. Today, his car is jumping out of gear. He's having a tough time. Wednesday night, he got in a sprint car for the first time in 6 years, qualified 4th at Sharon Speedway in Ohio, the track he and his family own. But brake line went. Finished 22nd. But on Friday night, his 10-year-old son won a feature in a quarter midget race here. So at least some good news for the Blaney family. Matt?
Bill Ward Burton has climbed all the way to second. Now, the biggest impact teams can get in this sport is from people. Bill Engel has been moved into the crew chief position. Bill, a former winner in this sport as a crew chief, but he hasn't won on the circuit since 1998 at Martinsville with Ricky Rudd. He has made his motives to transform this team. Like Benny said, they've gone back to some of the Hendrick stuff. Ward is having his best run of the season, currently in the second position. Marty?
Matt, just want to give a little credit to Jimmy Spencer. He had a 7th annual golf tournament this week. It's mine and Benny's kind of golf tournament. For fun, golfers only. No serious guys here. They had 100 golfers out there, and this charity has raised over $400,000 in the 7 years it's been running for Camp Victory here in the Berwick, Pennsylvania area. 5 hours of fun, and for the first time in recent memory, 0 golf carts wrecked. Dave?
Marty, rookie Scott Riggs is looking forward to the second half of the season. In the first half, only one top 10 finish. That was a 5th place at Dover. But the second half presents an opportunity for him. He's been at the tracks one time. He's gotten more than 5,000 more laps under his belt in an Nextel Cup car. So places like here, where he won a support race in June, they feel better to Scott. He runs better. So far today, running back in the back of the pack just a little bit because of problems he's had. But Riggs looking forward to half number 2 of the 04 season.
I sure am glad Bill Weber finally had something good to say about Blaney. I was going to start taking him a collection for him.
Man. You can see Jeff Burton needs a collection right now. He needs a new race car to replace that one. They're still cleaning up here at Pocono. It's about to finish the cleanup here at Pocono Raceway and get the Pennsylvania 500 back underway. We will come back for the restart in just a minute. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. Raceway in Pennsylvania and the Pennsylvania 500 live on TNT, coming to the restart with Mark Martin as the race leader, one of 9 drivers that have traded the lead 13 times today.
All right, let's see if we go 3, 4, or 5 wide here at BP on the restart.
There's 2.
Come on, make it 3, Jimmy.
There we go.
There's 3.
Ricky Rudd, Robbie Gordon.
By Pocono standards, that was pretty tame.
Yeah, it really was.
Ryan Newman, the lap car, working on the leader, Mark Martin. 88, Dale Jarrett, also not on the lead lap. Transmission troubles earlier. He's 6 laps down. Jarrett is in 31st place. And while they sort it out on the restart...
Look at this! Jimmy Johnson way down there.
On Jeff Gordon, who he probably thinks is the guy he's got to beat to win this thing.
Man, good move.
That's 3rd place Johnson has just taken. And now he goes after 2nd on Ward Burton.
Now, he's got better tires than the rest of these guys, correct?
Yes.
Which always helps.
And he's got a faster car. Another thing that helps.
So Jimmie Johnson to 2nd now behind Mark Martin. Jeff Burton involved in the accident that brought out the last caution. Marty?
Yeah, now that it's calmed down a little bit, Jeff Burton had his fun on the racetrack. That looked like a hard hit. You okay?
Yeah, that was a real hard hit. Yeah, I mean, we didn't run very well today. Unfortunately, we put on 2 tires there, and they kind of lined up on the inside of me. And I was underneath the 42, and I don't know, we just got pinched off really tight. He didn't do anything wrong. We were just racing, and we were loose on entry all day, and I don't know, I just got pinched off, and the thing came around. And, it hit pretty hard. I'm glad the softer walls are up there.
Tough break for a team trying to build some momentum, Alan.
So Jeff Burton out, joining Tony Stewart, whose car's been retired. Michael Waltrip, also, whose car's been retired from this race, along with a number of others who fell out earlier.
You know, that's another car, the 9 car, Kasey Kahne. He showed some promise of being a very fast car earlier on, but now he's back in traffic and trying to work his way through.
We said a couple things for you here that happened on this last caution flag. Drivers who came in for pit stops on the last yellow. Elliott Sadler, Dave Blaney, Kurt Matt Kenseth, Rusty Wallace, Ricky Craven, Ken Schrader, and Sterling Marlin. Matt Kenseth came back in, topped off the fuel at lap 129. And by the way, Scott Wimmer, remember he lost 2 laps early in the race? He was the lucky dog on each of the last 2 cautions. He was 2 laps down, was the first car not on the lead lap on the previous caution, got a lap back.
Oh, Jeff Gordon! Has he got a flat? Wow!
Just made a heck of a save.
I know. Boy, did he ever.
Now he hasn't put tires on since what? Lap 99, was it?
I mean, just unbelievable.
See what's happened. I just think went completely sideways on me.
No kidding.
Yep.
Wow. That's why you know what Alan was just talking about. I think the guys that came in that last time and put 4 tires on are setting themselves up for a good finish.
And you think that way because when everybody else has to make another pit stop, and they'll all have to stop one more time at least, they're going to have to spend less time on pit road.
Exactly, especially if it's green. You come in, you put as much fuel in as you need and go, and that's going to be a heck of a lot faster than guys like Jeff Gordon, who's going to have to put tires on.
Check this out. This gets the Glove Save and a Beauty Award for the day.
Oh, man. That was unbelievable. I mean, I don't know how in the world he didn't turn it back to the right and hit the wall head on. A great job by Jeff Gordon.
Now, in about 2 or 3 laps, we'll see the confidence come back into the car. But, you know, when you get that sideways, you lose a little bit of faith in your race car.
Jeff slides back to 8th from 4th place as a result of that slide. We check the race to the chase. Jeff Gordon, as a result of the struggles of the 8 team today with Earnhardt Jr. and John Andretti, Gordon looking to take over the 2nd spot in the championship standings.
And we go back to 6 through 10. I'm still not interested in this, as I've told you before. What I want to know is what's happening from 11th back to 15th versus the 10th.
This is where it gets good.
That's right. Mayfield, 58 points. Look at Mark Martin. Only 83 back. He will gain 3 positions if he could just stay there.
And it was just a couple weeks ago in Chicago, he figured he was out of it.
When he blew up in Chicago, I'm done.
Yep. But this is Pocono. The June race here 7 weeks ago, a lot of guys had mechanical problems in the final 100 miles. We're not there yet. There's still a long way to go in this race.
That 24 car is loose in big time.
The 9 car passed him on the outside up in turn 3.
By the way, just double checking the notes. Jeff Gordon last pitted at lap 121. He took fuel only there. He took tires at 109. Okay. So
he's
30 laps to go.
And yeah, and he's going to have to put tires on it before the end of this race.
And Terry Labonte gets by.
Yep, Terry up into the top 10, now into the 9th spot. And by the way, just to finish the story I was telling when Gordon went on his slide.
How about this?
Oh, maybe I'll wait till this happens.
Wait a second. Let's watch this pass for the lead. There you go.
The dominant driver in the race, Jimmie Johnson, is back out in front as we hit 350 miles. Scott Wimmer's back on the lead lap. That's what I was trying to say. He got both laps back.
That's bad news for the competition.
How about our AOL top speeds?
Johnson's fastest, even though he passed Mark Martin.
Yeah.
No surprise, is it? Jimmie Johnson has led now on 5 different occasions today. 64 of the 139 laps that have been completed. The 48 cars been out in front, and he didn't even lead until lap 32. Joe Nemechek led the first 31 laps, so it's been strong for that 48 car today in search of the Pocono sweep. All right, we'll get the strategy set for the run to the finish. When we come back, we'll take you through the field here at Pocono. Jimmie Johnson back out in front of the Pennsylvania 500. Johnson in pursuit of the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series Championship. He leads the standings entering today's competition. Another twist in the race to the chase. The 9th place driver in the standings entering today has just come down pit road and is going behind the wall, Kevin Harvick.
You know, we saw him dropping through the field and then got a report that he was overheating. They came in, tried to put some water in it. The water went in, but unfortunately it was coming out the tailpipes.
By the way, nice to see some extra, well, it was nice to see some extra safety equipment on Kevin Harvick's uniform after the Dale Jr. fire of a few weeks ago. That helmet skirt protecting the neck area in case of burn. There it is. See it right there. It's a skirt that runs from the base of the helmet down to the top of the uniform.
You know, last week in New Hampshire, I was in the Simpson trailer for a while.
Yep.
It was busy. A lot of guys coming in there for you know, underwear, you know, the tops, the bottoms.
They were afraid you were in the race.
Change of position. Greg Biffle scooting by Bobby Labonte for fourth. Solid day for that 16 team. They've had great qualifying runs this whole season, but just haven't been able to get finishes. Average start this season 12th, average finish 22nd.
It hasn't been too good as far as the finishing is concerned. As you said, the car has been fast.
Yep. So Biffle still in contention for this thing. In fourth place, he's been in that top 10 about all race.
You know, it's unbelievable. Newman, 10th currently in the NASCAR Nextel Cup points, having some trouble. Harvick, 8th, having trouble.
And 7 races to go, including today's, to decide who the top 10 will be for that chase for the Nextel Cup Championship over the final 10 races. Jimmie Johnson has left him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Let's hear from Kevin Harvick. Marty?
Yeah, I think it happened pretty much all of a sudden. They had a good run going up in the top 5, Kevin. That was real quick. What happened?
For some reason, the water temp just went all the way to like 270, and it just started slowing down, and then we came in and tried to cool it off to save it and shut off. But that's probably the best we've run here at Pocono with this GM Goodwin Chevrolet, so have to put it up and go to the next one.
A lot of guys around the 10th position are having trouble today, Kevin. How much does that enter into your mind?
Hope the rest of them have trouble.
That's a good point. When they put water in it, it came right back out through the head gasket. That's not good.
This will be the first race Kevin Harvick has failed to finish since Atlanta, October 2002. He set a record for most consecutive races running at finish, but today on number 59, his streak ends. Jimmie Johnson is out in front. We did promise you through the field. We had to detour because of the story involving one of the top 10 drivers. We'll get to through the field when we come back to Pocono in a minute on TNT.
Harvick to help protect him in case of a fire in that car. As for the car behind him, Mark Martin, Mark took 2 tires on lap 121, when Jimmie Johnson took 4. Martin's car is good. They really believe both the 6 and the 48 may be saving a little something. Matt?
2 tires on his last stop for Ward Burton, the 0 car, having the best run of the season. His best career finish here, second in 1994. He took 4 tires on his previous stop, starting to get free, Bill.
Thanks, Matt. Got my breath back. 16 car, Greg Biffle had a little brush with the wall earlier in the race. Crew says the car's okay. Biffle still hanging in there. Bobby Labonte working his way up front and battling that race car all day. Took 2 tires on lap 121. That helped him get where he is. We'll see how that pays off later on in this race. Matt?
Brian Vickers knocking on the door of his first career top 5 finish. He tells his crew chief Peter Suspenzo, this is the best this race car has run all day. Still a little too tight from the center of the corner to exit, Dave.
Kasey Kahne stayed out on the last caution. Tommy Baldwin told me, we're fine, the damage is okay, but we're a little slow behind the 41, so they passed him. One thing, on the stop before that, they only put on 2 right side tires. Bill?
Kasey Mears has used patience and good pit stops to get to the front. Car just a tick tight, but still hanging around in that top 10. He was our pole sitter when we went green, Matt.
Jeff Gordon just climbed from 10th to 9th, but he just spoke on the radio for the first time since you heard him tell his team how the car suddenly got loose. He said this race car is all over the place, Bill.
Very quiet from Terry Labonte as usual. Started deep in the field, worked his way up to 10th. He had to take a spring rubber out, fell back to 19th, climbing his way back to 10th. And we go back to Allen.
Top 10 there on through the field. There are 27 cars on the lead lap at this point with 51 laps to go. And Jimmie Johnson is out in front. He has dominated the race thus far today, led 5 times for 74 of those 149 laps that have been completed. We continue through the field with Jamie McMurray, Matt.
Jamie trying to capitalize on Ryan Newman's bad day. He currently runs in the 11th position, was 9th here in June. He says the car is really, really loose. He has brushed the wall at least twice today, looking at an adjustment on his next stop to try to make the car tighter on exit. Dave?
Scott Rick stayed out on the last caution, but the caution before that, he pitted twice because he had a mystery vibration under caution. Looked at the tires and wheels, they were fine, but the mystery went away when they replaced them. Marty?
Dave, Robbie Gordon not complaining right now. His car is back in the, 13th position. He says it's a little tight coming off of 3. No grip. They get better the longer they run, having another solid run here at Pocono. You see Kurt Busch coming off of turn 1, taking that little bit of a higher line. His car was way loose early on in the race. Now it's way too tight. They can't get it back the other way, trying to win back-to-back races. For the second time in his career, got a lot of work to do, though. Matt
Kenseth started today in the 15th position, and that's right where he runs. He has had a struggle with this race car all day. In fact, they cannot go down on the track bar anymore. It is all the way down to the bottom. The car runs well after a few laps. It goes completely wicked loose.
Jeremy Mayfield in the 19 car started 9th, has worked his way to the front, then slipped back a little bit. Car basically has been tight all day, still a little bit tight. Mayfield not able to climb into the top 10 as of right now. Started today 11th in the championship standings. Dave?
Ricky Rudd pitted on lap 121, Bill. The run was a little bit slower, so they reversed the wedge adjustment they had made earlier, trying to get the speed back that they had. Matt?
Scott Wimmer had a great run going here in June, then caught up in some oil, crashed his race car, came back here with high hopes. He has rebounded from that early trouble, currently runs in the 18th position, Marty.
Elliott Sadler's not said a word since he last stopped. Remember, they took fuel only on the last stop. Going to pit for the last time here in about 10 laps at lap 162 is the plan. They are one of those teams precariously hanging on to the top 10, but they're still in the race. Others are not. Matt?
Rusty Wallace, the adjustments continue for the 2-car currently running in the 20th position. He says the car just not to his liking, difficult to pass, running at 20. Alan?
There are 20 of the lead lap cars. There is one fewer lead lap car than there were just moments ago. Dave Blaney has coasted 2/3 of the way around the racetrack and looks like he's headed for the garage. The mechanical troubles we heard about earlier apparently coming to a head.
That's his transmission, Alan. Sorry, just wanted to let you know. Transmission. He missed a shift earlier and was jumping out of 3rd gear. They're done.
Yeah, I thought that was you chiming in. So Blaney is out. Joining Kevin Harvick, his RCR teammate. So tough day for the Richard Childress organization. 48 laps to go. A final round of pit stops coming up, and in June, a lot of mechanical failures late in the race. Will that change that picture of leaders before the finish?
Nextel Cup Racing from Pocono on TNT is brought to you by Chevy, the winningest name in racing, an American revolution. By Applebee's Neighborhood Grill and Bar, eating good in the neighborhood. And by Napa Auto Parts. Napa, get the good stuff.
Jimmie Johnson has opened up better than 4 seconds on 2nd place Mark Martin with a little over 100 miles to go in the Pennsylvania 500, closing in on a final round of pit stops that could determine the outcome of this race. Mark Martin running 2nd, Bill.
And he has backed out of the gas a little bit, Alan, and here is the reason why, on instructions from his crew chief, Pat Tryson, who told him, save me some fuel. Listen in.
How much do you want me to save? Quite a bit? I need about a lap. Phase green, I need a lap this run and a lap next run. That's all I need.
Mark is due on pit road in the next 2 or 3 laps, but remember that calculation is just to get to lap 200, and the green-white-checkered rule is in effect.
You know, okay, he needs a lap.
Yeah.
If he'll write that in a book, I'll buy it.
How you save
a lap of fuel here at Pocono, under green.
Yeah.
That's tough.
And what about the green-white checker? What about the possibility of overtime? Crew chiefs I've talked to, and my, they've helped formulate my thinking, but you can't plan on that overtime necessarily, especially in a situation like this, because the number of times in a season you're going to see the overtime, it's going to be very few.
I think it depends on the racetrack. Here at Pocono, I would plan on it. You go to a place like Bristol, then I would plan on it.
A very good chance.
Yeah.
What do you think, Bill?
I think it's a lot like using a great reliever, a great closer like, say, Mariano Rivera, because you got to bring him in, if you got 2 out in the 8th. He can give you, 4 outs. You have to use him. You can't speculate that the game's going to go to the 10th inning. So here, you're right, Alan. You got to count on lap 200 and not hold the green-white checker over your driver's head.
I don't think Alan likes that.
You had to go there, didn't you?
Well, we talked a little bit about it commercial. I just left that part of it out.
Yeah, thank you. I was set up. Yankees fan, Red Sox fan. There you go. Mark Martin with a phenomenal record here at Pocono. More top 5 finishes than any other driver, more top 10 finishes than any other driver in this track's history.
But in that wins column, 0.
Yep. Second 5 times here. Off the pace.
Here,
Ward Burton. Oh, what a shame that is. A third-place driver off the pace.
Not close enough for a fuel problem.
Well, I don't know. Might be.
Could be.
Could be that he might be out of fuel.
Like I said, you always run out in the wrong spot.
But that looks like he's backed up to speed.
Dave, you got a story for us?
Well, Wally said the wrong spot, and when that 0 car went by me going into turn 1 down here, it sputtered there. That wasn't the right spot if he's out of fuel.
It's not looking like he's coming to pit road, so I wonder if he had to switch the ignition boxes.
That would be my guess. These cars have 2 ignition systems. When one of them fails, the driver can just switch it over and go to another one. But now he moves over and let Jeff Gordon go. It's like he's lost a cylinder or something. Fourth gear.
That's what it is. Yep. Transmission, one of the gears went.
And we talked about that. It happens a lot.
Oh, here we go. Look out, look out.
Lost in 4th and 4th gear now. Caution flag is out.
Hold on to it.
He did.
Yeah, did a good job.
Good job.
Left rear tire's flat. Left
And
front tire's flat.
Right
front tire's flat.
They're all flat spotted.
So caution flag is out with 41 laps to go. And this is
the transmission just locked up.
And you heard from Ward himself what he thinks has happened to the 0 car. Back for the pit stops in a minute. Pennsylvania 500 for a 7th time in the race after Ward Burton has what he says might be a transmission failure. And now this brings about an interesting situation. Everybody's going to pit with 39 laps to go here, which means about everybody should be good from here to the finish on fuel. Now the question is, what do they do to get track position? And, of course, they have to make sure they get the car absolutely full of fuel on the pit stop.
Well, you know Jeff Gordon's going to take more tires. He can't stay out there, and I don't think he'd finish on those tires the way he's sliding around right now.
Yeah, he's a 6th-place car, though, right now.
But somebody like Elliott Sadler that was in at lap 128 may be able to spend just that fractionally less amount taking
Kyle
fuel.
Busch, he's another one.
Kurt Busch?
Kurt Busch, yep.
Kyle was yesterday. It's okay.
Yeah.
How about 24's thinking there, Matt?
They were extremely close on fuel. They were actually going to pit back on lap 158 because Jeff said the fuel pressure gauge started to bounce, and then the caution. He shut the car off coming down the front stretch to try to conserve fuel. They're going to try to pack that fuel cell full. Jeff Craven is going to plug it with both cans. They are very close. Wedge adjustment to try to fix this loose race car as well as air pressure, Dave.
The 9 car of Kasey Kahne took 2 tires on his last stop. He is forced to take 4 this time to go to the end. No chassis adjustments to the car. Bill.
Mark Martin in the 6th in the middle of your screen was running no shift laps to try and save fuel. It's 4 tires and get it full of the fuel cell. Jimmie Johnson getting 4 tires, a little long on the left front. He's on his way. It's the 48, the 6 off pit road.
Think the 48 got him. But we'll check it to be sure. Here's the scoring camera at the end of pit road. Or the camera at the scoring line.
Yep, Jimmie Johnson. You got him.
So Johnson's team holds serve on the pit stop. Looks like Biffle edged Kasey Kahne to get 3rd for the restart.
Back now is crew chief for Jimmie Johnson. Outstanding car. Can you make it to the end from here?
Right now, we believe we can. It looks like, obviously the more caution flag laps that we run, the better off we'll be. I tell you, it's just an awesome effort by this whole Lowe's team. After the performance we had last week at Loudon, New Hampshire, we weren't real pleased. We went home, we got to work, we found some stuff, and we didn't get practice yesterday. Had to start with a basically brand new setup from the spring, and I tell you, it's really, really impressive, the effort that these guys have put in. Unfortunately, Mr. Hendrick can't be here. His aunt passed away last week, but hopefully we can win this one for the Hendrick family. They've had a tough time here lately.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Matt? Bill, Jimmy Buffett is not too fond of math. And Robbie Loomis, what are your calculations telling you? Can you go the distance?
That baby's extremely tight. Right now, we're within a lap. Hopefully get another lap or 2 of caution here before the race is over. We're going for it. We'll have to see what happens.
He will restart
from the 8th position. Dave?
With the crew chief for Kasey Kahne right now, Tommy Baldwin, talking to his crew. No changes on the chassis. You seem happy with that, but can you make it on fuel?
We're pretty good. We just, maybe if we get another caution, might help us out a little bit. But this Dodge deal is UAW. Dodge has been, you know, going well all day, and just hopefully we'll get a little luck here and save a little fuel and get to the end.
Okay, sounds like he needs a few more laps, guys. As we continue under caution here at Pocono, we'll see who wins this thing. Jimmie Johnson, the leader, right now.
Green flag is just waved to restart the Pennsylvania 500. Jimmie Johnson is the race leader. Mark Martin is second. Greg Biffle, Kasey Kahne, and Terry Labonte make up the rest of the top 5. Jeff Gordon is back in 6th, followed by Casey Mears, Matt Kenseth, Scott Riggs, and Jamie McMurray. We believe everyone's got fuel to go to the finish, although for some, as we heard from Jeff Gordon's crew chief, it's going to be close.
How about the 6-car, Bill? Can he make it the rest of the way okay?
With Pat Trison, and the cars are going to go by us. The car that you won with at Dover, can you make it to the finish, Pat?
We're still working on that right now. The Bagger Source has run great all day long. We're still working on the fuel mileage right now. We think we're real close to being able to make it, but we'll have to sit here and see, go over our numbers again, and hopefully we can make it. We think we can.
Do you tell him to save fuel, or do you tell him to go get Jimmie?
Right now we're going to run hard for a while and then make a decision as we go along. Good luck. Thank you.
And Wally, we're getting to the point, less than 100 miles to go in this race. I talked about it at the very top of the show. Mechanical things, engines, transmission. We saw Ward Burton have trouble just a few laps ago. A lot of these cars, or some of these cars, probably will not make it to the end.
Yeah, it seems like there's all of a sudden you have a lot of trouble there the last 10 or 15 laps with some of these cars. A lot of guys holding their breath right now.
Here's our Napa field summary and the numbers on what's happened so far in this Pennsylvania 500. 10 different drivers have led. Jimmie Johnson has led the most laps, though. 89 of the 166 that have been run. 7 caution flags. And you see 12 cars are out of this race. Notables included in that, Kevin Harvick, one of the drivers just inside the top 10 in the race to the chase, who's going to fall back to at least 10th position in the championship standings as a result of an engine problem. Scott Riggs picking up 8th spot from Matt Kenseth. And Matt Yoakum has an update on somebody for us. Matt?
And Jamie McMurray has an issue, and it's not going to be fuel. He came on the radio, told Donnie Wingo, we have something amiss in the engine department. He even switched ignition boxes. That did not solve the problem. He feels like the engine will not last. He was making big ground today, trying to get in the top 10 of points to be in that chase for the Cup.
There you go, BP. There you go. What did you just say? People are going to fall out of this thing in these last 100 miles.
Because the first 400 miles, a lot of guys just try to get in position for these last 100 miles. Now it's time to go try to win the race. You're going to use the stuff more now than you have for the first 400 miles.
Yeah, you're going to abuse it. Use it and abuse it.
And it didn't last very long after that report.
I can smell it coming in.
Coming in. Jamie McMurray's fallen off the pace.
I'll make it in.
And will be potentially a 13th driver who will not see the checkered flag of this one today of the 43 starters. Ward Burton just fell out of this race while running in 3rd spot. Let's hear from him.
Yeah, the mechanical attrition starting to mount. Alan Ward, what put you back in the garage?
We picked up a vibration about 15 laps ago, and transmission finally gave out. And then I put it back in gear and was trying to make a go of it, and it locked up coming out of 1 and spun around, lucky enough to hit anything. But I tell you what, Net Zero team did a good job for me today, and I'm really excited about where we're getting ready to head. They're really working hard, and I think we'll get all their sponsors up front where they deserve before it's over with. Really feel good about it.
That was David Evans, the engine builder, who climbed in there trying to check the RPMs, and they're going to get this fixed and try and get him back out on the track, Alan.
You know, this racetrack is a triangle. And we talk about all the time the compromise that you have to make. You can't be perfect in any corner. And it looks like that the 16 car, he's racing with a 9. He's better up in the north end. Tunnel corner, turn 3. But that 9 car is so fast in turn 1, it's unbelievable.
And Jimmie Johnson's the same way, Benny. He is so fast in turn 1. That is where he's pulling away from these guys. Just, it's incredible. And he's running that high line, and you see everybody else is trying to run low. But that 48 car Jimmie Johnson is fast in that high line.
See, now Biffle goes in turn 1, and he has a couple of car lengths on 9. Watch this 9 car go in high, and he'll come off the corner and be right on the back bumper of Biffle.
And Kasey Kahne with a little bit of a tattered and battered race car after he was involved in an incident back at lap 109 with Tony Stewart and Kurt Busch. Jimmie Johnson leads at Pocono.
Episode of The Grid.
20th race of the NASCAR Nextel Cup season is the Pennsylvania 500 at Pocono Raceway, Long Pond, Pennsylvania. You're looking at Jimmie Johnson, the dominator of the race so far, out in front for 96. The 172 laps that have been run, but he's got 28 laps separating himself from victory lane after he completes the circuit he's on now. We've talked about how difficult Pocono is on engines and transmissions, things that'll keep Jimmie leery over these final circuits. He told us about something else that'll keep him leery of the late stages of this race.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are pushed their limits here. Even the drivers. This is one of the most mentally demanding tracks that we run on because every corner is different. You've got a lot of shifting that takes place. It's a tough track, and I leave here as drained mentally as I would leaving a road course, and that's saying a lot for an oval.
Mentally, because if you missed one of those shifts that he talked about, you have a chance of breaking the transmission, breaking the engine.
And your car's never perfect here. You got three totally different corners, so you really have to be aggressive and drive the car and stay on top of it.
Phenomenal 2004 season for Jimmie Johnson so far. In his last 12 races, 10 top 5 finishes. Last 12. Pretty outstanding. He's got a lead on Mark Martin of 1.2 seconds now. Mark running in second place, trying to hold off Greg Biffle and Kasey Kahne for that spot. Bill has more on Mark Martin.
Well, you talk about teams having bad luck at the end of races. Mark Martin's had more than his share, in fact, throughout the season, even early in the race. Daytona 500 lost an engine on lap 8. At Bristol, he dropped a cylinder late in the race while running 15. In Martinsville, he was 7th when the fuel line basically disintegrated. In the 600 at Charlotte, he was running 3rd, moving in on 2nd when the second ignition box failed on lap 200. At Pocono, the first time we talked about it, the engine failed when he was running 7th in the closing laps. At Michigan, the transmission failed on the green flag lap. And a couple of weeks ago at Chicagoland, lost the engine running 3rd with 3 laps to go. Mark did win at Dover and is in contention again today. And here are the guys that have stuck with him and have him chasing down the leader.
Pat Tryson, crew chief, Malvern, Pennsylvania.
Scott Bowen, front tire carrier, Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Todd Ziegler, front tire changer, Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Chris Webb, Jackman, Manassas, Virginia.
Will Smith, rear tire carrier, Seymour, Indiana.
Drew Blickensturfer, rear tire changer, Mount Zion, Illinois.
Rick Machinsky, Gasman, Toledo, Ohio.
Danny Eklund, catcher can, Green Bay, Wisconsin.
I'm Andy Ward, victory coach, Kannapolis, North Carolina.
Their luck has been so bad. Last week, I kidded crew chief Pat Tryson if I walked into a casino, caught crashing.
Bobby Labonte's into the wall, turn 1. Just misses getting collected as he skids back across the racetrack.
Hey, look at the damage on that thing. And that's 2. Jeff Burton and now Bobby Labonte just almost knocked the rear end off these cars.
Opposite ends of the racetrack. That turn 1, we talked about it earlier. I had kind of labeled on my notes turn 1 terror as the piece that I had in mind. You are flying when you go into that corner to brake, turn, the bumps, downshift.
Let's see if we can see what happened to Bobby Labonte. Not happy. Looks like he got hit.
He's going to get hit by, looks like, well, I don't want to say.
Brian Vickers.
Brian Vickers, that's who I thought it was.
Racing for 12th and 13th there, BP.
There's a right rear spring falling out of the car.
And you know, the 25 car drifted up the racetrack.
Yeah.
He got down underneath Bobby Labonte. He pushed, and he pushed right into Bobby. You get on those bumps down there, it shoots you up the track. Oh, man.
160 miles an hour backing in the fence. How bad is that?
So the question now becomes, as we see Bobby out of his car, okay, does anybody make a pit stop here? And will fresh tires allow anybody to do anything with Jimmie Johnson?
No, nobody's going to pit.
24 laps to go. We'll see if BP's right or not when TNT returns to Pocono Raceway.
Big news from Domino's. It's the 5...
Tonight at 8 Eastern on TNT, a man who lived life on the edge. The TNT original Evel Knievel, tonight at 8 here on TNT. Undercar caution after Bobby Labonte and Brian Vickers had contact in turn 1, racing for 12th position. Labonte into the wall as a result, and they tow his car away. We did have some pit stops under this yellow flag.
Yes, you did. I didn't think that, well, I thought maybe from 15th on back might pit, but man, where was it, 9th place they came in?
9th place, Matt Kenseth, although some behind him stayed out. So we'll reset the running order for you and get you set up for the sprint to the finish. When we return from Pocono, you're watching NASCAR on TNT. Got a huge weekend of racing next Saturday and Sunday for you here on TNT. Bud Pole qualifying for the Brickyard 400, 11 a.m. Eastern Time next Saturday. Then Saturday night, great Busch Series short track racing from Indianapolis Raceway Park. Sunday, the Brickyard 400, presented on NBC by ExxonMobil, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We start with Discover Card Countdown to Green. Can't wait. It's always a phenomenal week of competition. How did we get to this point in the Pennsylvania 500? Well, we started off under threatening skies a little after 1:30 Eastern Time this afternoon, with Kasey Mears leading the field to the green and Joe Nemechek leading the opening 30 laps. First caution was for Scott Wimmer, who lost the left rear tire and spun fairly harmlessly out of the way.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. decided he would use the caution flag to get out of the car, let John Andretti take over. They had some mechanical problems on the car, and now the car is running in 27th. There's one bummed out young man.
Pretty upset.
Here's trouble. Tony Stewart gets loose in turn 1 and pretty much ruined that race car.
It goes across the infield in the inside wall because it's muddy. It won't stop.
Kasey Kahne caught a piece of the damage there, too, though Kahne has recovered after repairs to finish third. Hard crash here for Jeff Burton. He and Jamie McMurray get together. That's in turn 3. That's the 6th caution of the race.
Brandon Gaughan got caught up in that as well. Great save.
That was Kurt Busch you were riding with. And then Ward Burton. Caution number 7. Transmission locked up on his 0 car when he was running third. Heartbreak there. And now the 8th caution, the one we're under now. A race for 12th place gone bad between Brian Vickers in the 25 and Bobby Labonte in the 18.
Boy, that was ugly, wasn't it? Oh, man.
Through all of this, that 48 car with Jimmie Johnson has been dominating. He has led for 103 of 179 laps, and now he's going to be 20 laps away from a Pocono sweep in 2004 if he can hang on. Here's another big story.
Ryan Newman has struggled all day in the 12 car. They've worked on the car constantly. He was 2 laps down at one point in time. Dave, he's now back on the lead lap.
I'll get back to Dave in a minute, BP. Newman got the lucky dog pass on both of the last cautions. He was 2 laps down, but was the highest non-lead lap car. Got 1 back, then got back on the lead lap. He got 4 tires here. And remember, he's one of those guys at the bottom end of the top 10 trying to preserve his place in the chase to the championship.
Jeff Gordon, the first car to stick the nose out, trying to take a position on Terry Labonte.
Yep. That's 5th place.
Got it. Well, he had it.
Not so fast. There you go. So Jeff Gordon up to 5th. He's been a contender to win in a very fast race car all day, but had some problems earlier. They had a problem on a pit stop. Cost them track position. They came back from that. Then they had a mechanical problem with the chain that holds the rear end housing in place for the pit stops. That's cost them some time on subsequent pit stops, and now the car's handling deteriorated for a while, and he's still trying to rally back from that.
Tell you, that 9 car is pretty doggone fast.
Kasey Kahne, yeah. Looking for Ryan Newman. We were talking about him a second ago. He's in 24th place. Dave?
On this stop, Alan, they put on 4 fresh tires and made a wedge adjustment. The car was just a little bit loose. That was good news because they had been fighting tight all day long, and they finally got it to the loose side.
So Ryan going to see how many spots he might be able to pick up. Remember, he came into the day 10th in the championship standings and trying to protect his spot in that chase for the championship. Bobby Labonte came into the day 7th in points. Marty?
And Alan, what a hard hit. First of all, you're okay, but what happened?
You know, I came out of the pits there 13th after that caution flag. We come in 5th, come out 13th. I don't know if I slowed down or what, but we lost some track position there. And I was maintaining my own. You're just kind of as fast as the guys you're around usually, unless you got a really good race car. And I was just kind of maintaining my own. And a little bit tight off of turn 3. And the 25 car got up underneath me and made a run on me down into 1. And so I was going to go to the outside and, you know, just race him on the outside. I thought maybe I could beat him back off turn 1 and, you know, maybe make a better chance to get turn 3 better, but never got a chance to do that.
Alan, another one of the guys in the top 10 with trouble here at Pocono today.
So Bobby Labonte looking like he's done and possibly finishing as low as 30th in this race. Ward Burton has just taken his car to the garage also. Race to the chase. The standings as they run in the race right now.
We don't care about this, Benny.
We don't care a bit. Let's go to 6. We don't really care much about this, except Kevin Harvick is now back in 10th spot. He's lost his spot today. Bobby Labonte's back in 8th. Now this
is where it gets good.
Look at that. That was 106 points from Jeremy Mayfield in 11th up to then 10th place Ryan Newman starting the day.
Jamie McMurray is in the garage area, but he's still only 127 out in 15th spot.
And actually, that's a net gain on points on the day. He was 134 behind 10th starting the day. Remember, Kevin Harvick fell out of the race with an engine failure. He's going to finish 32nd. And a lot of guys are going to tighten things up, trying to get one of those top 10 spots.
I think that 48 car is just cruising right now because, I mean, he's flying, but it doesn't look like he's abusing the car. Bill?
Taking really good care of it, Wally. And, you know, as Benny predicted, they stayed out under that last caution, which we thought they would, but you still have to pump up your driver, and driver has to show confidence in the crew chief, and here's how that conversation went.
It's good. Track position is going to help us, and I think we're in good shape. Good on fuel now, right?
Yep, there's a green-white checker. It might be iffy, but right now I think we're real good. Green says we got 3 laps cushion.
Still take care of it for a while.
Jimmie Johnson finished 11th last week at New Hampshire. Good for some, but not for these guys. They had 5 straight top 5 finishes going into that race. During our coverage, crew chief Chad Knaus told us that he took personal blame for their poor run. He told me this morning he beat himself up all the way home Sunday night. Because when you run bad, you don't know why, that's okay. But when you run bad and you do know why, that's not okay. But Monday morning, he went to the shop and set his sights on this race to get his driver back in victory lane.
They've done a pretty fair job.
Yeah, not too bad. And, you know, he stands a chance to pick up a $90,000 bonus. We talked about it. If the Nextel points leader wins the race, he wins a bonus. It's $10,000 every race or something. It's been 9 or 10 races since it happened. He gets a bonus, big bonus.
I could think of something to do with $90,000. Too. Jimmie Johnson now 15 laps away from the checkered flag. Remember, he won the race here back in June, though it did not come easily on that day. Yeah, he dominated and led 126 of the 200 laps on that day. But remember the confusion on the caution late in the race. Was pit road open? Was pit closed? He stayed on the track, ended up restarting 9th with 38 laps to go. It took him 9 laps to get to the lead. Went on to win.
You know, Mark Martin had pulled out to a little bit of an advantage on Kasey Kahne, but now the 9 car has caught back up and is once again very fast down in turn 1.
And I think Kasey got by Mark, he'd be even faster. Right now he's running behind Mark, and although he's catching him, wow, look at that. Really caught him in 3 there.
And all credit due Tommy Baldwin and that pit crew. You see the big patch over the hood of that car.
Yeah.
When Tony Stewart had the crash, the crew came in and put that sheet of plastic they had basically prepared. They put rivets through it to hold it down, and it's not only held up, he's moved back through the field.
Watch him now as he goes in. Now, Mark Martin has decided to move up his group, so he moved down the Mark group.
Yeah, because it was just the opposite the lap before.
Oh, I love this.
Actually helped Mark a little bit there.
It looked like it did. Looks like he was able to get through that corner faster.
He needs to remember that.
14 laps to go. Let's give you a top 10 through the field and start with the leader, Jimmie Johnson, and that would be Bill.
Okay, as we heard, Alan, he said he's pretty darn good. Just a dominant day for Johnson in that 48 bunch, but the car they are watching is the 9 of Kasey Kahne. Right behind the 48, the 6 of Mark Martin during the last caution said we're just a skosh tight, and that's what's hurting him right now. Dave, how about the 9?
Very quiet on the radio, Bill, but the 18 crash of Bobby Labonte helped these guys. Remember, they were going to be short on fuel. They're the first ones to pit in my area all day long, and those caution laps gave them the fuel mileage they need. Bill, back to you.
The 16 of Greg Fiffle, under the last caution, he told his crew if we were just a tick better in turn 1, we'd really be something. Matt, how about Gordon?
Gordon's very
strong, very pleased with that race car before the last caution. Robbie Loomis keeps preaching to Jeff under that caution, and as they took the green flag, conserve me as much fuel as you can. At this point, they're about a lap shy, Bill.
Matt, strong run for Terry Labonte, former winner at this track, 801st career Nextel Cup start. A little battling it in traffic a little bit, but still looking at a good finish right now. Dave?
Scott Riggs looking for his second top 10 of the year. Remember we said looking to the second time he comes to tracks? Well, this is actually the third time. Remember in the spring, he ran a support race here and won that. So he's feeling very comfortable with his car, Matt.
Dave, Ronnie Gordon came down pit road a little while ago, and he's in the 8th position now, took on 2 tires, seems to have helped the car. They also made a track bar adjustment. He's been tight for most of the afternoon. He's a little bit faster than Riggs, trying to reel him in, Bill.
The 19 car, Jeremy Mayfield, as it has been all day, just tight, fighting it, but Mayfield looking like he's going to get a top 10 finish along with his teammate Kahne in the 9. As for the 41 Kasey Mears, car is very tight. Kasey described it as plowing, and that's not good when you're plowing in Pocono. How about the 17 taking a spot there, Matt?
17 working the inside of the 41. Now, they've hit it under the last caution. The reason? 2 laps shy of making it on fuel. He was also loose on that set of tires. Restarted 16th, trying to work his way back up in there to a solid finish. After a very tough weekend, Marty.
Well, Matt, here comes Elliott Sadler. They've had trouble in traffic all day long. Car would just go nowhere. He got extremely tight. He's in 11th right now. The plan right now is take this car to Indy, although they may reevaluate after this race, Dave.
Ricky Rudd was one of the cars that decided to pit under this last caution. Came in, put on 2 right side tires, and made a track bar adjustment.
And take you back through the top 13 anyway. Lead group.
Now these guys, most of them right here passing Kasey, all have 4 tires. I don't know if Kasey took 4 tires or not, did he?
Robbie Gordon got 2 tires. Elliott Sadler got 2 tires. Ricky Rudd, 21 there, got 2 tires. Wimmer in the 22 got 4. Okay. On that last caution, and Kasey did not pit.
See the 21 car goes by Kasey Mears. Jimmie Johnson comes off, completes yet another lap.
9 to go.
Another fast lap.
Yeah, wow.
10 to go, excuse me.
He is 4/10 quicker in second place of Mark Martin.
See Dale Jarrett in the 88 car behind Kasey Kahne. Jarrett is several laps down.
6 laps down.
But after he changed the transmission, it's pretty obvious he has a fast race car.
And the big story on the day for the 88 car was when Kevin Harvick fell out, because now Dale Jarrett is ahead of what will be the 10th place driver in the championship in today's race, and he's going to gain points on making that chase out of a day that looked like it was going to be really bad.
He's going to gain about 20 points on Kevin Harvick.
Yep, it's going to be nice.
On 10th place, actually.
Nice if you're Dale Jarrett.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not nice if you're Kevin Harvick.
And, you know, and Dale's doing what he has to do. I mean, you can't worry about the guys around you. You hope they have problems, but you just got to keep, you know, doing your job and getting as many points as you can.
See Jimmy Spencer, the leader's going by Jimmy Spencer in the 4 car. He had a good run going, but it looked like he has lost a cylinder. Something happened to him earlier, and
he just got black flag, Dave.
Yeah, he lost high gear, guys, about 20 laps ago.
Okay.
Mark Martin running second. Does he have enough fuel to get to the finish? Team conversation a moment ago.
Just want you to know I'm using a lot more gas. Oh, we're good. We got cushion. We got cushion. Go get him, bud.
You know what he looks like, because he's running about the same speed as Jimmie Johnson now.
Mark, though, 2.3 seconds behind Jimmie Johnson.
I guess that's because Jimmy's looking in the mirror and said, okay, I'll just stay 2.3 seconds in front of Mark Martin.
And Mark himself. Kurt Busch just drop off the pace. Caution is out. Caution is out with 8 laps to go. Kurt Busch has lost an engine, it would appear.
Well, there's another one. Just a few laps to go. Marty?
He said he thinks it's a transmission. Remember earlier we reported that Kurt Busch, or I told you guys in commercial, only had 3rd and 4th gear. Now he thinks all of them are gone.
And normally when you lose a gear in a transmission, it's only going to get worse, because those pieces don't go anywhere but round and round the other gears. So if you break a part in the transmission, it's just going to get worse most of the time.
Let's go back and take a look and see what happened to Kurt Busch and also Kyle Petty, who appears to have been in the wrong place at the wrong time.
He gets up high, up in the tunnel corner, and
with the 97 dropped some oil there. He was running right behind him when he went into the corner.
And they've decided that they don't have enough time to change the transmission and make any progress out of it, so they're going to push the car in the garage.
Remember Kurt Busch winning last week, moving up to 6th in the championship standings, feeling like he'd put a little cushion behind himself in that race to the chase.
So he's back to 9th now.
And he erased that cushion. Kurt is probably going to finish somewhere back around, yeah, it might not be so bad. He's only probably going to finish around 26th or 27th because of all the cars that we've had fall out of the race so far. I mean, even some of the guys that are still running can't finish enough laps to pass Kurt Busch. So we'll see how it shakes out at the end of the afternoon for him. Another sprint to the finish coming up. Jimmie Johnson leading Mark Martin.
Nextel Cup Racing from Pocono on TNT is brought to you by Domino's Pizza, the official pizza of NASCAR. By new M3 Power from Gillette, the new power behind the Gillette Young Guns. And by Goodyear Assurance, featuring triple tread technology.
Turned out to be a beautiful afternoon here in Long Pond, Pennsylvania for the Pennsylvania 500. And the fans are about to be treated to a 5-lap sprint to the checkered flag. Dave?
Ryan Newman gives up 18th position, 4 tires, no fuel, no adjustments. Chassis's pretty good, Bill.
It's going to be 4 tires and a rubber out of the right rear for Kasey Mears. They're hoping those tires can help him pick up positions. Only had about 5 guys behind him when he came down pit road.
22 cars on the lead lap. Very few did pit under this caution flag. You saw Kasey Mears and Ryan Newman. Also, Joe Nemechek was in. Ricky Craven, Sterling Marlin, and Kyle Petty, lead lap cars who came in.
Talked about the 97 car losing the transmission right along with Kurt Busch, and listen.
And he's trying to find anyone that will work, but none of them will.
None of them. The engine is running fine, it just will not pull. All the gears are just stripped off the cluster gear in the transmission. Transmission went off.
So tough day for last week's winner, Kurt Busch, who will be in the garage when the checkered flag waves on this one. 5 to go will be when the restart waves. There are 22 cars on the lead lap. Nobody's been able to do anything with Jimmie Johnson so far.
Everybody's going to be a little bit meaner on this restart.
Exactly. The meaner level is going to peg the meter.
Yes.
1 to 10, it's about 11.
Farthest up guy with tires is going to be Kasey Mears in 17th. Drivers who have swept here at Pocono, which Jimmie Johnson is trying to do. It's a pretty good list, pretty good company to join.
Yep.
BA.
Bill Elliott won about everything in 1985, so it's no surprise he won both races here.
Tim Richmond driving for Hendrick Motorsports then, and Bobby Labonte a few years ago. Restart with 5 laps to go.
Usually the first one that pulls out to pass somebody on the restart.
And Jeremy Mayfield trying to get alongside Robbie Gordon. Oh, couldn't quite make it. Okay, does Mark have anything at all?
Scott Riggs gets shuffled there. That's who Robbie Gordon went by and opened that inside lane up. There he is back. Jeremy Mayfield got by. Matt Kenseth got by. Elliott Sadler got by. So Scott Riggs' potential top 10 finish has gotten shuffled here on this late restart. Bobby Gordon trying to protect now 7th spot from Jeremy Mayfield. Up front.
Okay, let's see. There again, that last lap, 48 car, Jimmie Johnson was just so much faster than everybody else who turned 1.
Kasey Kahne, Greg Biffle not really able to mount any kind of a charge there from 3rd and 4th.
Tell you what, Mark Martin is driving as hard as he can in that 6 car. Pat Trice has told him fuel is not a problem, go for it. And he is, but he just doesn't have the horse to catch that 48, doesn't look like.
Especially those last couple laps of caution that really gave him a margin for safety.
And he's searching. He's running different lines right now. He's just trying to find the fastest groove for that car, that 6 car right there to work.
Kurt Busch is with Marty.
The day started so promising for Kurt Busch with a fast car early on. What put you out?
Transmission. It's weird. We had second gear fail us about 20 laps earlier, and you don't hardly ever use second gear. So just a bummer day today. Our week was last week, so we'll just have to move on to the next one. It's tough.
That now makes 6 of the top 10, Alan, that have had problems today.
It's getting interesting.
Kasey Kahne getting up high there and a run.
6 races to go at the end of the day. Tony Stewart, Dale Earnhardt Jr. had problems today. John Andretti now driving the 8 car. Kurt Busch had problems.
Now,
Kevin Harvick, Bobby Labonte, and Ryan Newman, although he's rallying late.
Newman is up to 14th.
And there's the number. Kevin Harvick back to 10th. And Mayfield from 106 to 36 points up within 10th spot.
Kasey Kahne is making a run on Mark Martin. I think if Kasey can get a little bit closer to Mark, he can make the pass on the outside of turn 1.
Tell you what, he's there now. Is Mark going to go in high or low? High.
High.
He's going to go up and make the 9 car follow him and get that arrow push, and not able to get the run off the corner.
Well, if he's going to make a charge, you better do it in a hurry, because they'll be coming to the white flag next time. Just looking a little farther back, Robbie Gordon in 7th, the highest guy who took tires on that last caution, so definitely the move paid off there for him. And you mentioned Ryan Newman up to 13th now, so he had a nice rally back from 2 laps down. While they race for second, behind him, Jimmie Johnson comes off turn 3 here at Pocono and moves to the starter stand for the white flag and begins the final lap of the Pennsylvania 500. Unless something goes mechanically wrong on this 48 car in this final 2.5 miles, he's going to cruise to victory. He has been dominant so far today.
Well, I guess he is flying right now.
Last lap, as he came to the white flag, Jimmie Johnson, the only driver on the track to turn a lap time under 55 seconds. No charge for second, but still a great drive for Kasey Kahne to come back from the involvement in the accident and the damaged car. Mark Martin looking to finish second here at Pocono for an incredible 6th time in his career.
And puts him right back in the race to the chase.
Here we come, off of turn 3. Way to go, boys. Back to back again. Thank you.
Play-by-play from the cockpit. Jimmie Johnson comes to the checkered flag and sweeps the Pocono races in 2004. Johnson wins the Pennsylvania 500. You're right. Big payday for Johnson and company, $90,000, a bonus for the championship leader winning a race.
Damn cool. Thank you.
And for Jimmie Johnson, his 4th win of 2004, he led 124 of 200 laps.
Mark Martin's going to look up and say, what have you got in that thing?
Jimmie Johnson's 11th top 5 finish in the last 13 races, his 10th career victory, and the 10th win at Pocono Raceway for Hendrick Motorsports. Let's hear from his team.
Crew Chief Chad Knaus, the Pocono sweep. How does that feel?
I'll tell you what, it's just amazing to be able to come up here. We struggled here last year, and we really focused hard on being able to come up here and run well. And I'll tell you what, this whole Lowe's team has just done a tremendous job. Jimmie's really came to his own here. You know, I mean, he looked like Tim Richmond out there running around. He just did awesome, and I'm so, so proud of him. I wish Mr. Hendrick and the whole Hendrick family could be up here with us today, but, you know, they had that unfortunate thing with their aunt. She passed away, so they're at home with their families. But I'm just so happy to be a part of Hendrick Motorsports, Team Lowe's. I mean, excellent engine, excellent body, excellent chassis, excellent driver. What do you do? It was great.
They back up wins at Darlington, Charlotte, and, of course, earlier this year at Pocono. Alan?
Chevy congratulates Jimmie Johnson and the number 48 Monte Carlo on their big win today here at Pocono. No cars dominated Cup racing like the defending manufacturers champion Chevrolet at American Revolution. We'll come back and hear from Jimmie Johnson in victory lane in just a moment. Johnson wins the Pennsylvania 500 in Pocono.
Nextel Cup Racing from Pocono on TNT is brought to you by Nextel. Coast-to-coast walkie-talkies in under a second. NASCAR and Nextel, partners in speed. And by TGI Fridays. Cut the carbs, keep the flavor with their bigger, better Atkins-approved menu, including new chicken La Boca, new Key West grouper, and sizzling chicken with broccoli.
Victory Lane, Jimmie Johnson just pulling in there now. We'll talk to him in just a moment after his win in the Pennsylvania 500. First, let's hear from second-place finisher Mark Martin.
For the 6th time in his career. Second again, Mark, but you are having a great time again.
I love these guys, man. I love this race team. I might be 45, but I feel like I'm 20 right now today. You know, driving. This is all I've ever wanted to do all my life. And, you know, to spend a year where you couldn't do it, you know, is pretty tough. And to be able to know that it's because of the hard work of Pat Tryson and the Viagra team makes them really special to me. I tell them after every race, I love you guys.
Thanks, Mark. Dave? Kasey Kahne raced a damaged race car to 3rd place. Kasey, how tough was that?
It was pretty tight. It was, actually, they got it better. I mean, it was pretty decent there, the Dodge Steelers, UAW Dodge. And I owe Kurt Busch an apology. I thought he took out Stewart, and I thought that, you know, he hit me right before that. So I guess he didn't, and, you know, I shouldn't have run into him. I owe him an apology, but, you know, we had a great run for Mountain Dew, Siemens, Valvoline, PPG, everybody that's part of this race team. And Tommy Baldwin kept making good calls and, you know, getting our car better and better, and, you know, it paid off. So it was good at the end.
6 top 5 for these guys this season. Let's go to Victory Lane,
where Jimmie Johnson is at home. The Pocono sweep for the 48 team and the championship leader. You ready?
Yes.
Okay, you rock. How cool was that?
That was so cool. I mean, that race car was incredible. You know, it wasn't the best all the time, but it was awfully good. She had made great decisions. We had to work our way through and pass a lot of cars at times, so it wasn't a cakewalk by any means, but I'm just so lucky to drive for Hendrick Motorsports. Rick, thank you for the opportunity, boss. You know, definitely bringing this trophy home in the memory of Papa Joe. I don't know what to say. I have to thank the whole organization, everybody involved. Chad Canales, the Lowe's team, all the employee owners at Lowe's, everybody involved. You know, days like today are very special, and it takes a whole team to do it. I'm very happy to be here.
You think you might take this car to Indianapolis?
I think we're going to have to consider that, the way this thing's been running. But we feel that we've got a better car to take to Indy, so worst case, we got to get back up.
Right here, isn't it?
Go ahead.
Unbelievable. I don't even know what to say. You should ask me a question.
Okay, well, I know you guys wanted to go to Victory Lane last week for Papa Joe, so I'm sure this is an extra special win for you and all the people at Hendrick Motorsports.
It definitely is. And this week, Rick's aunt passed away, so it's been a very tough month for Mr. Hendrick and the whole Hendrick family, and our thoughts and prayers are with everyone, and glad we can put a smile on their face here on this Sunday afternoon and bring home a trophy for them. Just an incredible day.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
He's the championship leader. Jimmie Johnson sweeps Pocono. Matt?
It was a good day, and good day for Jeff Gordon. Good day, your car that you co-own won. Good thing for you, though, you came back from a top 5 finish after a lot of trouble today. I bet you're glad Pocono is not in that final 10.
I am, because I don't know if anybody can beat Jimmie Johnson here right now. These guys are so strong. Congratulations to them, and I know Rick's back at home watching. I know he's happy, and John, so congratulations to them. Great run for the DuPont Chevrolet. I mean, it was a great, I guess, fight is the only way I know how to put it, because we had to fight a lot of things and overcome a lot of hurdles. You know, the thing just... you know, it was a fast car there at the beginning. Then we had the chain brake on the left rear, and we couldn't get the left side up on the pit stops. We kept losing positions, and every time I went further back in the field, I'd just get so tight I couldn't get back up to the front. So top 5 and a great save. I thought I lost it over there in the tunnel. I don't know where that came from. The thing just got sideways on me going in there. So we'll count our blessings and you know, be thankful for a top 5 and go to Indy.
It's off to Indy, where he'll try for his 4th Brickyard 400 victory. Guys?
And the finishing order of the Pennsylvania 500. Jimmie Johnson with the win, sweeping both races here at Pocono, the 5th time that has been done.
And Ryan Newman, 13th.
Check that out. Came back to finish in 13th after all the problems he's had this year.
Same with Scott Wimmer. Came back from 2 laps down to finish 11th. Big story today, drivers who had troubles who were in the top 10. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Kurt Busch, Bobby Labonte, all with troubles, and Kevin Harvick, the big number, because he will be the 10th place driver in the championship now And with finishing back in 32nd position, that brings all of those chasers closer to the top 10 spots. Now with 6 races to go to the chase for the championship. You see that Jeff Gordon moves to 2nd spot in points. But Kevin Harvick falls back to 10th. Bobby Labonte falls back to 9th. And they have very little pad on those from 11th on down. 40 points, 10th to 11th. 6 races to go until the Richmond race.
Kasey Kahne just 69 back. Mark Martin is now to 89 back. Wouldn't they love to have one of those races they've had trouble in back?
Big weekend next weekend from Indianapolis. Bud Pole qualifying Saturday 11 Eastern on TNT for the Brickyard 400. NASCAR Busch Series racing Saturday night from Indianapolis Raceway Park. And then next Sunday on NBC at 2 Eastern, the Brickyard 400 presented by ExxonMobil. We start with Discover Card Countdown to Green. Rush Hour next on TNT on the East Coast, and the Robbie Knievel Jump on the West Coast. Dominant day here at Pocono Raceway for Jimmie Johnson. He avoided all the pitfalls and problems that overcame so many of his competitors to take the win in the Pennsylvania 500.